come follow me.
Innovation, smoke loud, cause inhalation. For years now, you've been living on false information. So get litty, I spit shitty. Need no help with my flow, so selfish, like nobody else's. The aroma of the floor is scented. To grace my presence, see I'm so authentic. Skin flawless, swimming in the youth fountain. I move mountains, but who's counting? Your crew doubting? Google me, I'll scratch up data. Listen now, homie, catch up later. Make rounds as I snatch up paper. Fuck it, it's just natural, all actual. Living in the glass house, throwing bricks at you. Your broad think I'm so delicious. So please hold your bitches while I'm G-rapping on the road to riches.
In the back, come follow me. 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 Incredible, lyrical, and original. In the back, come follow me. Incredible, lyrical, and original.
Flamboyant new millennial. Yeah. Uptown hood. Sound good with any style. Out scratch unfiltered. Twisted. Tilted. You know the flow, I killed it. Audio too. I know you loving how I milked it. Getting love, hugs, and kisses. I'm so ambitious. All the homies round the way, they know what this is. Some say I'm too malicious. Your baddest side bitch couldn't do my dishes. Never. I leave her pants all damn. Travel around the world, get my passport stamp. Peep my hot style, it's the new official. Really ain't concerned about who is you. Fresh look with the new vision. Ain't think I would, hun, did you? Watch how it bang, flame, sizzle.
In the back, come follow me. 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 Incredible, lyrical, and original. In the back, come follow me. Incredible, lyrical, and original. Come follow me. Come follow me. Come follow me. Incredible, lyrical, and original.
Tell them run it all.
What is going on? What is going on, everybody in the house? What is going on? Wake up in Cleveland every single morning.
I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it all. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it all. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it all. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it all.
Okay, where's my music? Check, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2, in a place to be. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Wake Up in Cleveland on this fine Wednesday afternoon. We hope everybody's doing well. We are doing, we're actually not bad. For anybody that was wondering, I had my flu shot. Not my flu shot. So many shots. I had my COVID shot just yesterday, or actually it was on Monday. You guys remember Monday was the day that I had caution on, and then my internet decided not to work anymore and took me out of the picture. Well, that was that day. So I had a lot more time to get to my shot. So I went and got my shot. They did my blood work. I'm on a study. I'm on a trial. So mine's a little different than your average person out there. I'm not on the Moderna or Pfizer. Mine's a different one. It's I'm in phase 2. So I got the shot, and they were basically like, look, if you get the shot, just don't plan anything for the next day. Don't plan anything. And you never really know what's gonna happen until, I don't know. I'm a night owl, so I got the shot at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 11 o'clock, my body was like, I think you need to go lay down. Because I was in serious pain. It was like my entire body just decided to be in a 12-car accident. And why are you still playing? Okay, it's on autoplay, good. So, I went to bed, took some Advil, whatever, and woke up, and it was even worse. So, all day long yesterday, I either laid in the bed or laid in the bed or slept. Those are my two options. You're either laying in the bed or you're sleeping. It got to a point where I was like, I don't want to be in the bed anymore. And I would get up and I started walking, and then I'd walk to like the kitchen, and I'm like, I'm tired. I think I'm gonna go take a nap. So the good part is I feel really, really rested because I slept so much. But now I'm fine. I'm sore still, like my arm where they put the shot in it still has some pain to it. So it looks like Philipton is saying this means your body is actually building up the defense. That's some fast building. I guess I'm like a mutant. My body was like, I think I just got my new powers. It's like Spider-Man getting bitten and he wakes up in the morning and all of a sudden he's Spider-Man. Like, that's me. I'm still waiting on powers. I would be happy with the power to just make more money right now. Like, that's a good power to have. If I could just generate just cash out of my fingertips, just like $100 bills, like I'd be real happy with that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm fine now. I'm actually happier that I, have a little protection net, because that's all we really want, right? We really want to just be able to stop, get protected. That way we can go on doing what we do. We are, unfortunately, a people group of people. We need people in order for us to do our jobs. Without people, we are pointless. I mean, thank God for Twitch. Thank God for the ability to have people come and share experiences with you, because without it, DJing for no one is not fun, no matter what anybody tells you. I mean, practice is one thing, but like, if I knew that every time I DJ there'd be nobody on, I would still do it for the love, but I wouldn't be, here or performing somewhere. So we need those people to be there, to share with what we're doing. Speaking of people that are about to come on, we got DJ Shorty in the house, and I'm really excited for her to be there. I see her in the green room. She's waving. Appreciate her for stopping on by. I ask a lot of people to come on, and for the most part, I'm going to be honest with you, for the most part, they are all, make sure the volumes are good. For the most part, they're all really, really nice and cordial. I've only had, I haven't had one no. I've had delays. I've had people tell me, ask me in 6 years. I don't know if that's a no. It's just it's just a not right now. So I'm really happy. Perfect example. So DJ Angelo is going to be on the show on Monday. I've been asking Angelo to be on the show for months. And he's like, kind of busy right now. Ask me later. I'm kind of busy. And, I could take that and just stop asking. Or I could keep on pushing. And sooner or later, he'll turn around. And that's exactly what happened. So had I not done it, he wouldn't be on. So perseverance is important, guys. If you have a goal, you got to do whatever you have to do. And look, you can go overboard. I'm not gonna lie. Like one of my friends of mine, Tweak Music Tips, who has a show also. We're all in the same kind of asking people to come on the show. And I'm not gonna say any names, but there was one person in particular, and he knows this. He'll tell you this all day long. And he kept asking this one person. And at a certain point, the guy was just kind of fed up and was like, nope, you know what? I don't have any interest in being on the show. And he took it. He said, yeah, I get it. I can be kind of pushy. I appreciate you. So there is a fine line between trying too much. So you have to respect people's wishes and privacy, and but you never really know, because people aren't the most honest with you. You know, when you ask them, yeah, maybe, and you know, they leave this kind of this little path for you to follow, and it just doesn't work. So anyway, so I'm glad DJ Shorty is in the house. I know a lot of people on here have used DJ Shorty's her training courses. They're very, very important to a lot of people. I personally have not used them yet. And as I was doing my research, because everybody knows I'm doing this whole kind of scratch resurgence where I never really focused on my scratching. I was decent, but never to a point where I was like, you know what? If I needed to scratch for 2, 3, 4 minutes, like I could show some stuff. It was always like, here's 12 seconds. You know, here's a little movement here. Ooh, I can scratch. Okay, that's enough. I don't want to show you guys too much, you know, scare some people off. But the reality was that's all I got. That's all I knew. So me practicing over the last since the beginning of January has done wonders for me. Practice. But I know that Shorty's stuff is, because every time I bring up, I do a video on it, kind of showing my progress or my update. People are like, oh, yeah, that's great. You should use Shorties. I'm like, yeah, yep. I will. So, yeah. And look, it goes without saying. The Shorty has talent. Goes without saying. So we're going to be bringing her on in just a second. Let's do a little room check before we bring her on. Let's see who's in the house currently. We got John P. We got one of the mods in the house. T Diesel in the house. So T Diesel, everybody thinks it's funny to make fun of me. You know, I'm the guy that always I'm the spicy guy, and that's fine. I know who I am. I'm happy with who I am, and I'll get into a stream and I'll make jokes and everything, and I know that I can be the subject of a joke too. So you got to laugh at it. If you're going to be able to make jokes, you got to be able to take jokes. And T Diesel decided to take my background and use it as his green screen wallpaper yesterday. Thought I wasn't going to see him. Thought he was going to make a real big funny joke and throw it in the Discord. Well, I was on the stream and I saw it. I saw it happening in real time. So thank you, T Diesel. That's why I have to change my angles around now, so people, you know, don't want to steal my background, because it's all so special. This picture is from Amazon. I think this is like $30 from Amazon. Everything else in the house is like, this is free. Like Ape Labs sent this to me. This is 12-year-old uplights that I stole from my own company. Like, this is what we do here. We got to make it work. We got to make things work. That's just facts here. It's all smoke and mirrors. If I turn this camera around, there's probably dirty laundry and trash everywhere. Anyway, all right, so a little room check here. We got T Diesel, we got Rat Bone, Philip Tan in the house, DJ Big V. Who else we got representing today? Throw yourself in the chat if you're in there. Let's see here. Who else we got? DJ Irise. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It could be Irise though. I gotta be honest with you. You guys and your name spellings, it screws everything up on occasion. Who else we got? Dre Mays 73 in the house. Samster 567, DJ Shorty, my fave. I'm glad. This is a perfect show for you to be on then. Who else we got in here? Who else we got? I said Big V. And Oz the DJ. Mr. Demand. I gotta increase my font because I can't see anything anymore. That's the joy of being me. Okay. And let's see who we got here. Oh, and look at the YouTube side. The YouTube side, we got a lot of people on the YouTube side, although the YouTube side is being very quiet today. Now, before I bring her on, I will say this one little thing. So the YouTube side, because I am partner on Twitch, technically what I'm doing is illegal. So, for all you YouTube people, if you are interested in the show, it's important that you make sure that you follow me on Twitch, because that's where we're doing all things Wake Up in Cleveland, which is this show. Now, of course, I will always have my YouTube stuff. I just posted a video yesterday, so hopefully you guys checked out that video, as I'm trying to get everything working and trying to figure out why my keyboard's not working. We'll get to it. That's weird. Lights on, but no keyboard working. How does that work? Lights on, but nobody's home. Something's working. Okay, we're not going to worry about that right now. So, so make sure you guys are following on the YouTubes, because it's important that you're following on Twitch, not YouTube. I know you're following on YouTube. It's important that you know that this show is transitioning over to Twitch completely. I will post the show, but the show will go up the day afterwards, and it'll probably be edited, because a lot of times, especially with guests like a Shorty, I'm playing stuff that is probably going to get copyright stricken, so I have to edit it down. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, anybody that's out there. All right, let me just do a couple little changes here, because I realize that I always forget to turn on a couple of things on here. We'll get it going. All right, so we're not going to keep this lady waiting, because she was on time, and I appreciate that. We're gonna pop right into this show, but first, let's go to the commercial. You know how we do it. Let's go, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, look, I know you think this is a little weird that we're sitting here talking and I just left and I was in a completely different outfit. Well, that's future me. I'm past me. So what I want to talk to you guys a little bit about while they're setting up for this next guest that's coming on, and I'm sure they're going to be dope, but I want to talk to you a little bit about ways to support the channel. You see, there's a lot of work that goes into this channel, and the only way to keep it going, the only way to keep bringing on new people and upgrading the sets and upgrading the intros is by you supporting me. So here's a couple of ways that you can support me, and I'm not sure that a lot of you know this. If you're new to Twitch, you want to look down right here. There's a little subscribe button. That's the easiest way to support me. It's like $5. It's like buying me a cup of coffee. If we're at the bar, you're buying me a beer. If you're feeling a little more generous, maybe you want to gift somebody a free sub. If you are a Prime member, you can use your Prime membership. You get one per month. You can use that on me. It doesn't cost you anything. Now, if you're sitting there on the YouTube side, you can also hit that membership button right there, or you can give me a super chat and then send me off a tip. Look, I know that times are tough, money's tough, and I know that what I'm asking for some of you people might be a little too difficult. So there are other ways that you can help the channel. You can host the stream, share the stream. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, share the stream to everybody. Get the word out. That's the easiest way to help me out, and that doesn't cost you a dime. Those are just a couple of ways that you can do this. I think they're coming back, so I need to get out of here. Just remember what I said. We'll see you soon. Bye. ladies and gentlemen, we are going to introduce to you. Put your hands together for DJ Shorty. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing, Terry?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for hanging out today. Let me move this. Put you on full screen. Thanks for hanging out today. I appreciate you being on time. That's really important.
Yeah,
you would
it
be
is important.
surprised. You know, and I always give a window because, as you can see here, and the shirt, I talk. So I'm fully capable of extending something out like well beyond what I feel comfortable with. But usually when I tell people, hey, be on at this time, and they say, okay, I know that I'm going to talk for another 15 minutes or so. And so I give that padding. But for whatever reason, a lot of people will show up like 1 minute before or 10 minutes afterwards. So I appreciate you. And let me see. I'm hearing some vocals here, so let me remove some stuff because...
Some vocals on my end?
No, I'm always hearing a slight echo, but I can adjust it on my side.
Oh, I can turn off echo cancellation. I had stereo audio on, but I can turn off my echo cancellation if that's a problem.
Yes, let's see if that fixes it.
Let's see if that fixes it. Ooh, technology. The life of streaming DJs. How's that?
There we go. That's good. Actually, you're louder too, so that's perfect.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Awesome. Let me close this so I can see you now.
Cool. Okay, so obviously, you know, one of the reasons that I brought you on is because you are kind of a staple in the DJ community. You've been doing this for I don't want to say a long time and date you. Like, I don't want to do that. But
go ahead and date me. I pay my dues. We can talk about it.
fair enough.
I also look really young, so a lot of people think, oh, you're in your 20s. I'm like, thank you. I'm 45.
Right. You know what? And that's exactly how we want to do it. I mean, you want it to be to a point, I think, at least with me, because I'm you know, close to the same age as you. You want to get to a point where you can go, you know what? Yeah, I am this age, and yeah, I have accomplished all of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is what you want to be. So look at me as an example. Don't look at me as this old person, but as something you strive to be. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Motivation, goals.
Motivation, exactly. So I was watching some of your videos, and I know that you DJed on the Arsenio Hall show.
Yes, I did.
and he had said you look like a mom.
A very young, hold on, he said a very young soccer mom. I just want to get his quote right. And then we can talk about it. We can unpack that. But he did say very young, which I appreciate. Yes, and he said soccer mom. So I'm sporty, or maybe my kids are. I don't have kids, but my cats.
Your cats. Fair enough. So, and you know, and I think that's interesting because it's one of those, you can't really judge a book by its cover because you don't know what a person is. Like, I remember to this day, I had a friend of mine. He was actually a DJ, and he was like 4'10", right? And everybody would make fun of him. And
he's my people.
Yeah, right. And
I love him. He's shorter than me.
but he would laugh it off, right? And I never thought anything of it. And then one day he was talking. He was like, "Yeah, I had to like throw some guy out of the club yesterday." And I'm like, what do you mean throw some guy? He's like, "Yeah. Oh, this club, they hired me to be security." I'm like, "Okay, what kind of club is this? Like, are they all small people?" He goes, "No." He goes, I am a 3rd degree black belt. And
yes!
So, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, well, there's that. So you can't judge based upon the way somebody looks. It's impossible, you know. And yeah, you do have a little bit of a soccer mom vibe going to you. There's nothing wrong with that. It works.
But it's always some rendition of, you don't look like a DJ. I'm like, what does a DJ look like? Yeah. I've gotten that ever since I started in 95 all the way till now. And would you believe me if I told you I'm a black belt also?
Are you really?
Yeah. 1st degree. What? He's got me.
Okay.
He's 3rd degree. But yeah.
That's crazy. So it's like you and Miss Ninja. Miss Ninja's
Miss Ninja. She's one of my students. Yeah, she's aptly named Miss Ninja, and she's killing it on the streaming scene right now. She built her following really from 0 to 80K in a year since COVID. It's amazing on Twitch. Amazing.
She's
proud of her.
Very impressive. Exactly. No, I agree 100%. And I had her on a couple of months ago, and she's just a great person. And again, another one of those people that when you sit there and you look at and you talk to, or you go to their stream and they're interacting with their crowd, you just sit there and say, huh, this works. This works for you. You know what I mean? Because she's so polite and just articulate and never really gets emotional. It's like, do you remember that Saturday Night Live sketch? Was it Coffee Talk? And it had the two girls and they would just sit there and they were really, really like perfectly polite and they never got mad and, oh, that sounds great. Thank you. And like, that's Miss Ninja. You know, don't get me wrong. She's got her moments.
She's fiery. She's fiery. Yeah. She's a badass. She's a badass in many, many ways.
Very, very true. You know, so I know you've been doing this for a long time. So it's funny how things just kind of cycle around. So I had Rob Swift on the show.
Oh, that's my boy.
Yeah,
I love him.
Rob Swift. Yeah. And we're gonna bring White Chocolate on too because I think that's a great dynamic.
Yes.
He so I was researching him and I was pulling up all this footage, and one of the things that I didn't realize, and I'm gonna bring it up right now because it all comes around full circle. So let's bring this on the screen. And let's take a look.
Delay line. They're creating delays with beat juggling, or with moving the fader in certain ways to stagger things and to stutter things and to manipulate time with your hands.
My dad's a professional musician, and he wrote the Have a Coke and a Smile jingle. I don't know if you remember that, but so I get a lot of my musical background from that. I had like a traditional music upbringing. I was always in the band. I played piano and drums, and started drums when I was 7, and just all through high school, marching band, snare drum. I can read music. I played trumpet. But with the scratching, I had just heard like wicka wicka, you know, like really easy, simple stuff. And I was like, oh, anyone can do that. But then I saw him, and he's like doing all these crazy tricks and all these patterns that some I can't even play on the drums. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I got to learn how to do that. And he pushed me, and a month after dating, he moved in, and we've been together for the last 4 years. The turntables moved in with him, and I stopped making fun of it.
The first time I heard...
So let's unpack all of that real quick, because I think a lot of people are definitely going to want to know what is going on with that.
You're digging in the crates for the footage, man. That was in 1999. It's like looking at old yearbook photos. I love it.
That's funny. Hey, but you know what? Like I said, it's a part of you. So
I love it. I love it. That movie is amazing. I think it should be, because I'm in it. No, I'm kidding. I think it should be required watching for all DJs, regardless if I'm in it or not, because it's it's like a history lesson. It's amazing.
So you're right. And it's interesting too, because like when you look at the amount of views, and there are a couple that pop up on YouTube, none of them are over like 30,000 views. And then you think of like, okay, how many DJs exist in the world? Just looking at Twitch, you know that there's a lot of DJs. So it's always weird to me that people aren't looking at the old ways. So I guess before we talk about the youth, I want to transition into a simple question, and that is, knowing the roots of DJing, where they came from, where you are now, and comparing it to a lot of DJs that are coming up right now that maybe don't care about the history of DJing and how it came to be. What is your feeling on that when you get a new person in and they're like, I don't really care about that or whatever. I just want to show me how to DJ, have a controller. Like, what are your feelings on that?
It really doesn't make a difference to me either way, quite honestly. I know Rob would probably say different, but I mean, the history is important. People need to know where they come from to know where they're going. So through your journey, through learning to DJ or learning to scratch or juggle or, mix or whatever, if you really care about the craft, you're gonna eventually learn the history in one way or another. That's how I look at it. When I teach people, I don't give them a history lesson. I get them scratching, or I get them mixing, or I get them juggling. And then through that, I'll interweave stories or whatever, and they'll ask questions, and I'll be like, go watch Scratch if you want a history lesson, or go watch, different resources and stuff like that. And you definitely should give respect to who came before you, because they paved the way. I mean, the people that paved the way before me, and then, and everyone, but there's also something to be said for the new generation and bringing a new, fresh take on things. And so I don't like to harp on history too much, like it's all about the old school, because the new school is what's like keeping things fresh and relevant and motivated to move forward. Otherwise it just gets stale. So in terms of like giving my students a history lesson when they first come to me, no, I don't do that. I just, teach them the skills and the craft. And through that, it's just an organic interest in like, wait a minute, where did this come from? Who made this scratch? Did someone make this scratch? Oh yeah, well, the flare was named after DJ Flare, the guy that created the flare, right? So it comes out like that, but I'm not that kind of teacher that's like, get your nose in the history books or anything like that. But
before you
I
scratch,
do appreciate
you must
it.
build this record. You're like, wait, what? I just want to scratch.
No, because it's the same. Again, I'm a musician, as you just heard in that clip, and so yeah. In school, there's music history and that kind of stuff. But when you're in band, you don't sit there for hours and hours learning the history of the drums before you start playing them. You just really want to play the drums. But through that love and appreciation grows the, I want to learn more about this organically rather than it being forced down your throat. That said, I would say, again, Scratch is a very entertaining way to get your dose of history. And it's not the complete history either. No. But yeah, that's my take on it. It's important, though. I sound like my parents: respect your elders. But then again, some elders are assholes. Excuse me.
No,
so
you're
you
right.
don't have to respect them all, but respect who came before you, paved the way, and just because you can do the triple backflip 9-note Autobahn and maybe Grandmaster Flash is still doing stabs. He's doing the funkiest stabs, and he paved the way for you to be able to do that Autobahn.
Yes.
So that's my take on it. What's your take on it? How do you feel?
I'm okay, and I've said this before, so it's not anything new. But every time I say something like this, I look in the comments after the video, or I look at the dislikes, and it's like dislike, because for some reason people are very reactive these days. So when you say things, I know. So when you say things that go against what their truth is, they automatically get offended. So when I say to people, you know what, it's okay. I know tons of controller DJs that kill it. I know tons of people that don't know the history of DJing that kill it. But having said that, if you're going to learn how to DJ, I believe that every DJ should know how to use vinyl. It's like you drive a car, you should know how to drive manual transmission. It just shouldn't be an automatic thing, because what happens if you get to a place that you need to be able to all we have are turntables here. What are you going to do? Everything's different on vinyl. So I just say you need to be able to know that. And I think over time, over years, it started out, no, you're either vinyl or you're nothing. And then it slowly progressed into, there's a lot of compromises. And when it's all said and done, everything we do that's not pure vinyl is some form of cheat. So if we're using
cheat, is that what you said?
Some form of cheat, yes, exactly. So if we're using
interesting.
What I
mean
is,
I'm with you. Keep going.
So what I mean is, if you're using vinyl and you're using just regular records, not DVS, and you're just DJing, you have to take into account, I have no cue points. I have to be soft-handed with this record because it's gonna skip. I can't just go back to the beginning. Like all of these little things, I don't know what the beats per minute are. I have to feel that. I have to just know music. So all of these things that we deal with now on DVS, it's like, okay, I don't have to pull the record back. I just hit cue point 1. I'm using phase, or I'm using DVS. So I'm slapping that record, and I'm looking at the needle literally move, but yet it's not skipping on the song because DVS is adjusting for you. So there's all these little things that, and oh, what's the BPM? Let me just look at the screen. Oh, there it is right there. It's already analyzed it for me. And a lot of DJs don't even know this, but like there's stuff going on in the background. Like if you're using Serato, I mean, actually, even if like virtual DJ, there are things in the background that are built in, algorithms there to help you and keep your DJing consistent. People don't even know that. They think that, I'm DJing. Well, you are, but you're still being helped. And so I just feel like you have to accept the time we're in and know that this is just a part of it. But just make sure that like when I started scratching again, like reinvesting in scratching, I first was on my phases, and then I started moving. Then I moved over to, and I think I was testing the range 12s, so I was using those a little bit too. And then I said to myself, you know what? I probably should go back to my vinyl because I got some scratch records. So I pulled them out, popped them on, started DJing. Within 3 seconds, I was like, oh, wow, my hands sure are heavy. Wow, nothing I'm doing is working. Like I pull back the record, it jumps five seconds back. So it's just little things like that where I was like, okay, but because of that, it forced me to calm down, soften my hands, change my needle positions, because that was a big thing. I was talking to Chris Carnes about that and DJ Vajra. And he was like, yeah, I turn my angle so it's perpendicular with the back of with the tone arm. And once I did that, all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, so this works. So all I'm saying is that, but because of that, now when I know I go to anything else, I'm not worried that I'm not using proper technique.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. It's always about proper technique. My kids are in dance, and the teacher will stop you the moment they're like, I don't care how many spins you do. The technique is wrong. So if you don't know the technique, no matter what, your spins are never gonna look right. So work on the technique, and then everything else will come with it. So that's kind of my take on it. Everybody's different. I get it. There's some diehards. There's some people that don't care at all. You just got to do what you do. I respect that. Use what you have, but but know your history too. You have to know your history. It's important.
Oh yeah. Well, to me, that's a totally different question. The gear thing versus history. Right. History is more like, I guess, theory, but gear is a totally different question. And I agree with you that if you learn on turntables, or if you take the time to at least go back and study the original tools, right, you will be a better DJ because you'll understand why you're doing the things you're doing, and also stuff like your heavy-handedness and stuff like that, so your technique will improve. That said, I don't think that every DJ has to get on turntables to be a good DJ, exactly like you said, but there's definitely a benefit to that. That said, also, it's funny that you bring this up because back in the day, like in 2000, like a year after that movie was filmed, my husband and I, Bobby, you saw him we got married, by the way, after that in 2001.
I know, congratulations. Yes.
Actually, yeah, it was in 2001 when this happened. We were in Holland. And in Amsterdam, and we were at this place, I can't remember the name of it, but it was this place where they bring musicians and they're like, give us, tell us what you want. What tool do you want? What would enhance your performance, your playing, and we'll build it for you. So we were like, this is back in 2000, 2001. So we were like, we want a MIDI turntable because back then we just had, CDJs were out, they were new, but they weren't, they weren't turntables with records. So we were like, we want a MIDI turntable. So we started working with the team and everything. And as we were over there, we read an article about Richie Houghton, who was coming out with Final Scratch with Stanton. And we were like, oh. And then we're like, you know what? We don't care. We just want the tool. And so we left Amsterdam. We're like, peace. Sorry, we got our. No, I'm just kidding. So we left, and we were some of the first DJs on Final Scratch, and we were hated on. And we are very like OG true school, turntables, carried crates, lugged them forever. My husband started when he was 13 in 1985. I started when I was 19 in 1995. And so we had done that. We were still carrying crates of records when we were using Final Scratch because we didn't trust it.
Of course.
But it took the handcuffs off. Yes. And it allowed for way more creativity, and the art of DJing grew immensely once DJ software got in the game. Well, CDJs too, because it gave you more capability. But then when DJ software came in, I mean, yes, MP3 killed vinyl, or actually CD killed vinyl. But regardless, if you, it's still alive. This is a Serato record. It's so funny. I'm picking it up. I have real vinyl too behind me, as you can see.
I can see, yeah.
But yes, so but it took the handcuffs off and allowed us to be so much more creative. And touring too, like one of the genres that I'm very, very passionate about is drum and bass. And that was one of the very last scenes. It's such a futuristic sounding music, but ironically, it was one of the last scenes to embrace the technology. So I'd be touring over in the UK, which is the root of drum and bass. Yes. And I would bring my Rain mixer and I'd put it on top of their Allen and Heath, and I'd plug my laptop in, and then I'd have my turntables on top of their CD or near their CDJs or whatever. And they would make fun of me so much. They're like, "Oh, you're cheating," whatever. And I'm like, you don't understand. You could do so much more. So that was back then. So I have a different sort of perspective on controller DJs and people using the new tools of today, because I look at it as expanding the art form. That said, you can rely on things as a crutch, like you said, or you said it's a cheat. You can rely, if you're using sync all the time, unless you're doing something super creative, you're just phoning it in, man. But that said, Craze, one of the most amazing DJs on the planet, uses sync all the time. But look at what he's doing. He's doing such amazing stuff. So it all boils down to, it's just a tool. These are all tools. It's just a tool that you pick. I'm a drummer, so I could play the practice pad, or I could play the snare drum, or I could play an electronic drum set. There's a lot of different options. They're all tools. And you pick the tool that works best for you, or your, collection of tools, and just go with it. Be creative, be a musician, be an artist, but that said, on the flip side of that, if you're faking it, you could fake it without DJ software. You can just pre-record a mix, pop a CD in, and pump your fist, as many people do that makes tens of thousands of dollars. It drives me crazy, but hey, and this is also interesting. Before the pandemic, that could fly, because people didn't really, a lot of people at like big festivals, they don't know what's going on half the time. So it could fly. But one thing I love about COVID, such a weird thing to say. One thing I love about the pandemic is that it forced everyone to, go deep and go online, right? Streaming. Yes. So now it's all close up. There is no flashy, unless you're watching Miss Ninja stream, there's no flashy LED wall.
No bananas.
No dancing bananas, except on her stream, right? But she doesn't rely on the little fluff. It's her skill that's come forth, and that's just frosting on the cake. But at a big festival, it's go-go dancers with fluffy boots and lasers and LED, or you're in a cube. The DJ's in a cube and there's all these projections, and that's all amazing. But the craft is completely lost, right? And so DJs can get away with faking it, whereas now you can't. And so the veil is lifted. It's now you're seeing the man and woman behind the curtain, and the DJs with pure talent have really, really, I think, been able to thrive in this environment because the focus has been on the skill, no matter what tools they're using, whether they're finger drummers or purist scratch DJs or mixing on vinyl or mixing on a Pioneer controller or whatever. You know, skill has come forth. I've always said skill is the gimmick, right? At least one of my brands is skill is the gimmick, because they're like, oh, you're a female DJ, you got boobs, yay. And you know, like, no, it's not about this. It's about this, right? The skill is the gimmick. You know, there are other, you know, you could throw a cake in someone's face, you could wear a mouse head, all that's cool. But those guys, they did put it. Steve Aoki was an amazing DJ before he started throwing cakes in people's faces, right? He learned the craft, believe it or not. And Deadmau5 is an amazing producer. So you just gotta, everyone's got their little gimmicks. But to me, I've always just wanted to come forth with skill. So back to your point about the gear, I feel that it's a tool, and use it in the most creative, artistic way. But ultimately, you and your uniqueness and your you-ness is what's going to make you different from everyone else, whether you're, no matter what tools you use. So just go with your you-ness and use the tool creatively and just be an artist.
It's interesting though, because people always want to make fun of, like, I remember when Skrillex became like the end all for dubstep. He was the shining example. And then people saw him like scratching and they were like, what? He can DJ? It's like all of these people can DJ. Like Diplo's a dope DJ, but he doesn't do it. You know what I mean? So it's this weird thing where it's like, it's almost as if like they don't, but it's almost as if they don't want to show it, because I don't understand. I don't understand. Maybe it's, hey, if people want to pay you for doing half of what you normally do, I can't really complain about that.
That's their brand. It's their brand. It's what it's, you know, and they're using what works for their brand and what feels right for them. For me, that would drive me insane. I would quit. I need to be challenged. I need to be, you know, motivated, entertained, and the skill is what draws. It's always, if you watch that interview, it's not, oh, I want to be a big name DJ and tour the world. No, it was like scratching. What the hell is that? I always made fun of it, and now like you're doing all these Latin rhythms that I can't even play on my drums. Like, what is that? It was the skill, the talent that drew me to my husband and also drew me to my passion and my craft. So everyone's different. And there's a place for the people that you mentioned. But one of the things that I feel like this unique period in time has brought forth is just such a focus on, shined a light on so many things, social justice, racism, all this stuff. But even in the DJ space, in terms of skill, it's like all the roaches like scurry away. And then now you're just left with pure, like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. And also the audience is now understanding way more the work and talent and skill that goes behind it. And they're interested. And so now when things open up again, I'm curious to see how the music scene changes, or the DJ scene especially changes in terms of performances and how things are presented and stuff like that.
I've asked that question, and I know my DJ Dan said all on the same playing field. And while I agree that in this time period, yes, we are all on the same playing field. Anybody that's dope can shine, you know. And a lot of people that maybe were just good in the real world, meaning like, oh, they didn't get too many gigs for whatever reason, are getting a lot more viewers now on Twitch than they were before. So I appreciate that. However, I was watching the Rhodes podcast, and they brought up the fact from the other side. It was like the counter argument, and it was all these people think that they're like the new it, but when the clubs open up again, they're not the ones that are going to be called. It's going to be the us's and the established DJs that are going to be called. And when I first listened to it, I kind of took offense, like, you know, I don't know. Like, I think that if you're like a Angie V, and Angie V's she's an anomaly, but you know, but if you're pulling in 1,000 viewers, I can't see any company not seeing that and going, we can use this. You know what I mean? And
It's already
and
happening.
exactly. So now when I hear about those types of things, I'm like, I don't know. I think if anything, it's finally opened up the door to maybe saying that you guys aren't the end all.
Mhm.
You know, this look, it's all when it's all said and done, especially for clubs. And I see DJ Rel in the house. What's up, fam? Good to see you, man.
Rel! He's the reason why I'm here.
I know. I
He's
appreciate
one of
him.
my
I
students
appreciate him.
too. Old school
Yes.
Scratch DJ Academy fam. He was in one of my first classes that I taught there.
And now look at him. Now just
he's
murdering.
amazing.
Look at him.
DJ
Yes.
City, what up?
Yes. So you know, I know for a fact, and you probably know too, that you know the club industry is kind of a boys' club. And not just meaning that there's like, I know, but not meaning there's like, I know, exactly. But I'm not even saying that like meaning boys club, meaning it's all guys. I mean, like there's girls in the boys club, but it's always been based around kind of what the boys wanted. You know what I'm saying? So
That's society that you just described, but yes.
I know. You're right. You're so right.
It happens in every, every industry, but yes, definitely in ours. And ours is such a young industry too, so there's that. But I totally agree with you.
Young mentally and young visually. Like they feel like if you're older, you can't possibly know how to rock a crowd, which is so funny to me.
Although older dudes don't have a problem.
True.
Older women, you don't see very many 60-year-old female DJs rocking it, whereas there's tons of the dudes. So I'm just saying, just putting that out there.
The established gray-haired DJs that are like, oh, they have such a history in the soulfulness. It's like, you know, so is this girl over here, but you won't pay her any mind.
Right.
I understand. But I think there is this boys club, and I think there is going to be this kind of push and pull when we finally do open up, because I think there are going to be certain, look, if a club has been out of business for a year, okay, and they are finally open again, the last thing they're going to do is pull some random person off of Twitch. That's just facts. They're going to say, hey guy, promoter that I used before, I need you to do what you did last time and get the people in the door. And that's all they really care about, is getting people back in the doors. But there's also going to be a new club that's going to open up. And all these new clubs might say, hey, I want to pull in these Twitch people because I like the vibe. And the vibe has always been the thing that's drove me nuts. That's why I don't go to clubs. You know, because it's like I walk in, it's like, okay, this is the same shit I just heard at this club. Like, I'm good. You know, can somebody play me something different? And then Twitch opens up. And not only, which is the irony of this whole thing, not only do you get to hear all this new music, but some of the bigger club DJs are playing all this fantastic music that they actually love, that they would never play at a club. You know, and you're just like, well, why can't you do this? You know, why can't you sprinkle in some of this stuff? And there's, before they were afraid. They would make the wrong choice.
Or the promoter wouldn't let them.
Or the promoter wouldn't let them.
I've been to many a gig where they were like, stick to this.
Yes, right.
Play this.
Exactly. Yeah, and don't scratch too much. Just do your thing.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So I see both sides of the situation. I hope that it does open up the door for a lot of new DJs, because I mean, besides like the Little Johns who operate on their own level, like if you're on Twitch, Little John has his Saturday night thing, and it's ridiculous. And when I'm watching Little John, I'm like, I know this is club stuff, but I just love the energy, the vibe, everything about him is just.
He's awesome.
Exactly.
He's an awesome person, like an artist, just a visionary. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
There's a lot wrapped up with that guy.
Right. No,
Yeah.
you're right. But but that's not where I normally fall into when I'm watching people.
Same.
Yeah. So hopefully, we'll see. I mean, I talked to many. I mean, this show has allowed me to ask kind of the tough questions to a lot of people, and a lot of people seem to believe that it's going to go right back to the way it was before. They're just like, nope, that's it. It's going to go back and we'll just do our thing. I know that we're a small niche, and especially like, for instance, Twitch is a small little bubble. It's a microcosm of the world, but a lot of people aren't even on Twitch, so they don't know what's going on. They haven't experienced. So when the clubs open up, I'm assuming that they're expecting to just kind of do their thing, and I'm going to go and they're going to play you know, what's my favorite word? And, you know, it's just going to be the thing that everybody does. And you're just going to go on with it. I hope to God it's not. I hope to God that we get back to DJs being DJs and playing music that they love, to try to inspire people, you know, and pull new music. You know, why when I walk into a club and be like, I never heard this song, but I'm dancing my ass off because it's a great song. Like, I miss that part of going to the clubs, and I don't know if it'll come back. I hope it does. You know, I don't know. It's just me being optimistic.
No, I hear you. And ultimately, none of us can see the future, right? It's all relative. So the people that you spoke to, they don't know. If anyone tells you that they know what's going to happen, they're lying to you, because they don't. That said, if you're asking my instinct on it, I don't think it's going to be one or the other. I think it's going to be hybrid of both.
Yes.
And I see this in all facets of DJing, even the mobile DJ industry. A lot of my students are mobile DJs too, and they are finding new ways to, you know, do weddings, for example, in this virtual space. And I have one student who's out in Tennessee, and he rents these barns, and he puts like these plasma screens all over. And so it's just like the couple and the efficient and maybe like, you know, 5 close family members in this massive space, but the space, he brings like a little quartet, and it's like the whole wedding experience without the audience. And then, but all the audience is all on the virtual monitors, and they all get to experience the same. And so they still get to have their first dance and the beautiful dress and like the twinkle lights everywhere. And it's such an immersive experience. And so I see something like that going forward, where you do then also have the audience, but then you also have screens, so that someone like me who can't go to your destination wedding in Hawaii, but really wants to be there for your special moment, can still attend and have that moment with you, you know. So that's just one example. I think clubs are going to be very similar. I think my instinct is that it's going to be a morphing. In terms of the DJs that get booked, I have the ones that have told you, oh no, Joe Schmo's not going to get it anymore. The promoter's going to, those are the people that's what they want. They're saying what they want. Yes. It's very biased, and vice versa. Or the people with skill are like, oh, it's all about the craft now, right? That's also biased. I think it's going to be, I think there's going to be a craving from the audience, because now they've been exposed again, or at least I say again, because us older folks, we were like, we've been through this.
This is what we grew up on.
Right,
we grew up on variety.
Right. Yeah. But the new generation, you know, this is like, whoa, what is that, a really big CD? Like, like I still get that question. But yeah, but just the craft, and so it's like, well, you know, now it's like, okay, you can pump your fist, but what else can you do? I feel like that element is there. In terms of people growing their following, if you've only grown your following to 500 people or a couple thousand, no, I don't think, you know, Scam Artist Agency is going to be knocking on your door to represent you. That said, Miss Ninja, again, her ears have got to be ringing. I always use her as an example, though. She did it right. She stayed focused, consistent, multiple times a week, pounding away at her Twitch channel, grew it from 0 to 80K. All the big agencies are looking at her now. Once everything opens up, she will be booked out the ass. Right. She was already booked and working before.
Hardest working DJ in the world is Miss Ninja.
She was one of the, she was at a certain level before the pandemic, but she leveraged this in a way that now she can like soar once this is over, and it'll be that hybrid thing. And also her skill too, not that she wasn't skilled before, but has grown immensely just from that consistency of doing this multiple, you know, and not having to travel, just being able to focus on. So there's so much. I feel like it's going to be a hybrid. I do think that if you are using this time productively, you're going to come out the other end with a big little gift in front of you.
Oh,
you know?
God, have I been saying that the entire year? I literally, if you come out of this and you are the same person that you went into quarantine with, the problem is you.
What was the point? The universe right now is telling everyone, stop. Readjust. We're about to switch things up. There's a new future ahead. Get ready. I look at this time as like, well, 2020 was like we were going into our cocoon, right? We were in a cocoon, and then we were metamorphosizing. So now I feel like we're now budding out of our cocoon. So now we got our wings, right? So we're not caterpillars anymore, but we still don't really know how to fly yet. So we're still like kind of bumping around, you know. Same with the, you know, even if you look at COVID, like, you know, the vaccine, are we opening? Are we not opening? You know, like that kind of stuff. But then I think we're on the precipice of a renaissance. And that's what happens throughout history, after pandemics, there's always a renaissance because people are, you know, hunkered down and just creating or whatever. And then out comes all these new ideas, whether it be in technology or art or whatever. And I want to be at the forefront of that renaissance. And I know Miss Ninja will too, and I know you will too. Anyone who's being productive right now in their little cocoon or they're just now emerging, those are the people that are going to push society forward, not just pave the way,
push is the key word there.
And so, but I mean, there's something to be said for self-care, and a lot of people have dealt with a lot of tragedy now. And so I'm not belittling at all. If you need to take time, mental health is a thing. I've lost 2 people now in the past year due to COVID and mental health. And it's just really, really hard. There's been lots of pain and suffering. So I'm not saying if you're not being productive, you're failing as a human. But I mean, come on, if you're an artist and you're not in a bread line hoping to get food, and you have a roof over your head, start creating. Use this time. We still got time. Like, keep working, because it's going to benefit you, and it's going to make you a better artist. It's going to benefit your career, your life, enrich your life. You know, like, I have another student. I know I just talked a lot, so I'm sorry. But I have another student that just started working with me a month ago. I teach private lessons, by the way, in case everyone's wondering. All these students that I'm talking about, they're not in my studio anymore. We do it all online, droplet free. But anyway, this guy is in Boston, and he in April last year, he'd never DJ'd before or anything. He's a software engineer, but he's always been interested in it. So he just he got a controller, and he just started learning how to mix. And he documented his whole journey through a weekly stream. And he's been doing this weekly stream and building up this community of followers that have watched his journey. And through that, he went from not knowing how to DJ at all to having like this massive body of work in terms of all the sets that he's created. He up-leveled his skills immensely. Content. He started working with me, and now I'm teaching him scratching and mix tricks and stuff like that to up-level it even more. But so you don't have to have been a DJ before. You could have started during the pandemic, and he's going to come out. No, maybe the big club isn't going to book him right off the bat, but he took this time and used it productively and constructively, and he's going to be contributing to the Renaissance too. So there's a place for everyone. I just wanted to say the 2 things, because we were talking about, you know, a big DJ and a big agency and touring and whatever, but there's also value in, you know, the small contributions too, because the small contributions can be massive as well.
And let's, you know, call truth when truth exists. A lot of these clubs, the experience is the value, not the payment they give you. Because a lot of these clubs, you know, you'll make, you're DJing for an hour, you'll make $100, $200 for that day. If you're just regular, like, nightclub type things, but
like, depends on who you are.
No, 100%. No, so, but I'm using the term. Somebody's coming up like, I want to be a DJ. Right. Huge, and I make $10,000-$20,000 per pop. But you know, a lot of these people moving over to Twitch, especially these people that maybe weren't trying to do clubs, or they were and they weren't successful. You can make more money on Twitch than you would at club DJing that one time. So there's opportunities for everybody. It doesn't have to be, you know, if it's the club or nothing, you know. And that's kind of the thing. Like, I'm a mobile DJ. I own a mobile DJ company. Actually, Rel's one of my DJs. And at a certain point, you have to realize that the DJing is a success. Being able to do this for a living is a success. Not, oh my God, I'm in a club, or I'm this, or I'm touring. It's like, well, no, I'm able to provide. Well, it was until COVID. I'm able to provide for my family with the DJ company, and it's interesting because so I did an event on Saturday, and it was a bat mitzvah, but it was like, I think it was more of a coming out party, if anything, because in California, we haven't been doing anything. So
Right.
it was outside. They tented their entire backyard, and Mom says, I said, well, what do you guys want to hear? What are you guys interested in listening to? And she's like, you know what? I don't want to hear anything that's on the radio. I don't want to hear. I just want it to be cool and hip, and just do what you do. And they tried to funnel me music. I'm like, well, tell you what, I'll just start playing, and then you tell me, if this is working for you. And I'm playing like K-Tronada vibes and remixes, that whole, deep house vibe kind of thing. And she comes up to me and she was like, this is fucking perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
So
She just let you do your job.
Yes, just let me work.
That's
Just
all
let me
she
work,
did.
and
She
I'll make
just
you happy.
let you do your job. That's awesome.
Yes. So I guess what I'm saying is ultimately, I think some of the changes are going to happen without us even wanting them to, because people are going to be, people
They're
have
craving
been,
it.
yes, they've been through this year. Like, I just need something
They've been
different.
exposed.
I don't want to go back to the way it was.
They
And
woke up.
They woke up.
Yes.
Exactly.
The whole
Yeah.
planet.
So hopefully
Yes.
it'll work. It'll work. Hopefully,
Well, and then
Hopefully.
also that said, not everyone is struggling right now in the DJ community. A great example again is Miss Ninja.
Mhm.
There's I just keep going back to her because I don't want to bring up more examples now. But she and a lot of my students are doing this where they were mobile DJs. She wasn't a mobile DJ, but she did special events. One of my other students, BB DJ Keylez, is a mobile DJ, but she's also shifted her business to Zoom parties. You can make
Zoom
so
parties.
much money. I've made tons of money off, Zoom parties for colleges, USC that I play every year at the college, right? At the university, we did it online. They still paid me the same rate, a couple
great.
grand for, the online Zoom parties. And then what you can do is, streaming parties, that kind of thing. Twitch takeovers, people will pay you for that. But then on what a really interesting thing that Ninja does, which I think is genius, is she has like an a la carte package. So, and she's multi-talented. So she, like myself, I design graphics and animation. So does my husband. We do a lot of different things. She is too. And she will have different tiers. So you get the base package, which is just her and her decks, right? And like a certain amount of time. But then you can add to the package, add the graphics, animation. Oh, you want your logo animated? That's another another charge that you can add. And she gives them, and she's like, and then that also educates the client and teaches them how to treat you in a business situation, being like, oh, this is what goes into it. It doesn't just all happen. There's like all this technology that goes into play. Oh, you want more lights? That costs money because it's an investment. I'm pointing here because there's a whole bunch of lights in front of me and you guys don't see them. But yeah, all the technology that it took to put this together, like she tiers it out like that. She's making bank. She's making money. She's not struggling right now. And so there's plenty of DJs. All the DJs are like, oh, I lost all my gigs. I can't make money. Give me tips. Right. Yeah. Okay. Please go do that. But also you can earn a living. You just have to adapt. And the ones that have been like, I think of it like a tennis player. We watch tennis players and they're never like planted. They're like on their feet. They're ready for anything, right? Oh, I'm ready. That's the people that are limber like that right now and be able to like, all right, COVID, what are you going to toss me next? Here we go. Then and have been able to shift and adapt their businesses are the ones that are thriving now. And then moving forward are going to take everything that they learned in this new reality that we're going to be living in, that nobody knows the future, again, as I said, are going to be on such solid footing and, way further ahead than the ones where we're like, I lost all my gigs. I don't know what to do. Google something, figure it out. You know what I mean?
Do something. There's always something out.
Exactly.
Well, and it's interesting because, I was, when it first happened, I was the same way. It's like, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, my company, like people just stopped calling and all the parties was like, all the parties were like, we're not
and we
canceling.
all went through that.
We're just moving them. We're moving them to the end of the year, moving them to next year. It's like, okay, well, I will be really successful next year. Well, how am I going to get through this year?
This year.
Yeah,
Right.
and so I just started saying, you know what? Well, I have my YouTube channel. Let's just start throwing more content up there. Let's just start doing more stuff there. Let's start, DJing on all these places. But it wasn't so much what content I was putting up there. Although, yeah, it's all DJ related. But the fact that I was putting up content and then I had some really, really successful IG/streaming videos popped up and they were huge. So that was great. All of a sudden, we get into this and I'm talking to people and there are companies like, hey, we'd like you to represent us and do a video on our product. We'll send it to you. We'll pay you to do to do it. And I'm like, oh, well, this is new. And,
That's all over the place right now.
Exactly. See, a lot of people don't realize that since buyers and sellers can't be in a central location, like for instance, NAMM. NAMM is a perfect example. Since there is no NAMM where people can go and touch and feel and talk to reps and music stores can go, give me 4,000 pieces of this. The only people they have are like YouTube reviewers because they're the only people that actually have a market, people with eyes on the products they want.
Yeah,
exactly. So all of a sudden we became so valuable to them. And, but had I not even kept pushing, had I freaked out and just been like, well, I guess life is over and stopped doing what I was doing, a lot of things would be different. If I didn't start this Wake Up in Cleveland show, this has opened up so many doors for me. It's not really making any money and it's this and that. It's like,
I beg to differ, but I'll let you finish before I interrupt you.
Sure. It's not making any money, but the names are there and the reputation is there. So I know that anything that I'm putting energy into will work its way out in the long run. My wife is a perfect example of a person who doesn't understand the amount of work that I put into things. And she's like, well, I don't understand. Well, so once you get to a certain point, you're just going to be YouTube. You're just going to be making a lot of money. I'm like, well, technically not on YouTube because I'm in a niche business. We're just like a camera guy or an iPhone guy and I had 1 million views every day for each video. Yes, there'd be a lot of money, but that's not what the DJ industry is. So it's going to be a nice supplement, but it'll never replace everything. And I was telling her, I said, look, this was prior to COVID, of course, mind you. And I was saying, but everything that I'm doing opens the door for other companies. So I will start to do more work for them. They will pay me. And then that's how it all works around. It's leveraging everything you're doing to be able to make money. And the hardest part, sidebar, was trying to figure out how much money
to charge.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, everything.
You're like,
people
wait,
are
this
like,
is new.
They're like, well, what are your rates? We'd like you to do a video. What are your rates? And I'm just like, so then
Right?
you start Googling, what's a good rate? And then you're like, okay, if you have this many followers, you charge this much. And if you have this many followers, you charge this much.
You know what you come back with is what's your budget?
So
I work on a sliding scale. What's your budget?
Yes. So this is what happened. So the first one I had was with a big company, and they were like, well, we want you to do a series of videos. We're going to pay you this much. And it seemed fair. So I was like, okay, that's fine. The next one came up. It was basically one video. And they're like, well, what's your budget? And I remembered what they paid me per video, but because they bought many, it was a different thing. It's like you buy more, you get a discount type thing. And so I was like, I don't know. So I'm talking to my boy Cove.
Oh no, you froze. Is it just you? You froze for a second. Oh, you're back. Okay.
I'm back. All right. So it's guaranteed. It's probably like my kid is like on their stream for school. And so I was like, so I talked to him. I'm like, well, they're asking me this. I don't know what to charge. I mean, it's a one-off, so I don't want to charge not enough. And so he says, just ask them what their rate is. Ask them what they typically pay for this.
Yeah,
what's their budget?
Right.
Yeah. So I did that, and the guy was like, well, we typically, I don't want to pay more than this, plus you get to keep the equipment and all these things. And all of a sudden I was like, first off, it was twice as much
Yep.
that I would have asked for.
That's why you never want to be the first one to say the price, ever. And that's negotiation. I learned that from Shark Tank.
Yeah, right.
Never.
Right. Yeah. So that was the first thing. And I was like, okay. But I think a lot of people, and I might do a YouTube video on this because I think
Yeah,
that
this
a
is a
lot
great
of people,
topic. Yep. Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people don't understand the value that they bring. And I didn't really understand it until like halfway through COVID, when I started to realize that, because I'm on this kick right now. I know it's probably dumb, but I'm on this kick because all these companies send me products to review, like all the time. Here, review this, blah, blah, blah. But most of the companies don't allow you to keep the product. So
Do they pay you?
And they don't pay you.
So that's a hard no.
Right. So,
what's the point?
I guess the previous point was, well,
unless you're starting your YouTube channel and you're just trying to get your footing, and that's paying dues. That's different.
Right. But they wouldn't even give those people products. This is the.
Then how do you do the review? You buy it and then return it, or?
Yeah, right. Exactly. So if they send you the product, you do the review, then they send it back. Then you send it back to them. And I'm going, you know what? And it probably took like maybe 2 or 3 reviews, especially these big ones. And I know my view count was great, but look, YouTube, it's never about the one video. You know, people are always like, wow, look how many views it's never about that one video. That one video is going to generate X amount of dollars, and it's a small amount. It's more about all the videos together and everybody watching all of your videos every month. And then you can say, okay, you know, I average whatever, $2-3 grand a month, but it takes a shit ton of videos and a shit ton of average viewing in order for you to make that money. So if somebody gives you a product to review, you're not really making enough money to qualify the review. So then I started thinking, well, geez, let's look at this. So I do a review on a product and I get 30,000 people watch my video reviewing this. If 1% say, because of your video, and people have said, I'm waiting on you to do this video before I decide to buy a product. So if 1% see my video and buy your product, I've already earned the right to keep that product because I've made your money. I've made your money back, technically speaking. But then as I kept going, I'm just like, people are waiting for me to do reviews on products and they value what I'm saying. So my words have value. My words have weight. So why would I not at least be able to keep a product that I know I know you're going to get other people buying because of me. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I'm on this kick right now. That's literally like, if you send me a product, you're not getting it back because it's not fair. It's not fair. You're not paying me and I got to send it back to you. You're winning in every aspect and I'm not winning.
You're just using me. Yeah,
exactly. You know, so
it's got to be symbiotic.
It's got to be symbiotic. And then I realized it's probably one of those situations where, I just have to ask. I'm sure they're counting on people not saying I won't do it.
Just to be like, yay, you're calling me.
Yes, right. And that's how it starts off. It starts off like you're so excited because this takes several years. You're building your following and all these things, and all of a sudden people are like, wow, I really enjoy what this person's doing. And then you start to get the eye of these other companies. They contact you, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a first release product that hasn't been released yet, and I get to test it. I get to be that when the moment it's announced on their website, I have a video and I'm getting the most. It's all a big game. You know what I mean? So you just look at a certain point, you have to know your value. And I'm sorry, you were gonna say something and I stopped you.
No,
So
I
what
was
were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna interrupt you, and I stopped myself.
Okay.
So I want to flip that on its head. I totally agree with all you said. But I look at YouTube in a different way. YouTube is my jam. I don't know if anyone's on this stream and they're like, why aren't you on Twitch? I have a Twitch channel, never used it. I'm on other people's Twitch channels. Twitch isn't my jam because my business model is different. In the last 4 years, I've been teaching since 1997. and DJing since 95. But teaching has always been a side hustle, and I've been passionate about it my whole career, but it's never been on the forefront. My DJ career, my production career, me as an artist in the spotlight, that's been on the forefront. If you think about it like the ego, has been on the forefront. And then the teaching has been the side hustle. In the last like 4 years, it's been shifting because me being an aging person, I don't want to tour anymore. I loved traveling and all that, but it's just really hard on your body. And also I was losing the passion for DJing, right? Which it ebbs and flows. And anyone who's been in it a long time will tell you, oh, I hated it. And then I loved it and I hated it and I loved it. But either way, I've been shifting my business model. So all that to say that now teaching is my main focus. It's my main passion. It's what lights me up. It's what I want to do all day long. And I've created online courses, wrote a book, DVD series, done all that stuff. And private lessons, taught classes, and now I do online coaching. And I'm working on a group coaching program now that I'm going to release in May. So I'm kind of like teasing that right now. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so I've been shifting my business model. So when they're like, why aren't you on Twitch? I'm like, that's great for DJs. I tell all my students to stream on Twitch because it's a great platform to stream on. But as an instructor, I'm all about the SEO. When people want to learn something, they Google it. And then what pops up is either blogs or YouTube. Blogs or YouTube. YouTube. Twitch does not show up. It's not a major player in the game. Now, there is something to be said for now through the pandemic, all the DJs are there. So it's kind of like a captive audience in terms of that. They're there. But in terms of like people, still, those people are going to Google it and try to learn the thing. Okay, so that's the one thing. YouTube is where it's at for that. That's my jam. The second thing is, for me, I need to keep things simple. I learned the hard way not to spread myself too thin in a bunch of different areas. I'd rather go deep in one or two areas and make it grow. So if I was spreading myself thin on all the platforms, that's a thing too. That said, okay, now, so focusing on YouTube. Think about YouTube, the content that you make. First of all, if you study any of the big YouTubers, they will tell you that they are not relying on their YouTube AdSense money for a living. Like, that's just pocket change. Even if their pocket change is a couple grand, it's still pocket change to them because that, now their business are multi-million-dollar businesses. That's nothing, right? No one is relying on their Google AdSense to pay their rent. Okay, so that, if you keep that in mind, then you think of it like, okay, how do I use this to build my business? Well, YouTube is like an evergreen business card. It's an evergreen money-making machine in that you basically, as long as you have a way, especially you want to have a lead magnet, so a way to capture emails, right? So as long as you mention your lead magnet in every video, so for me, it would be the Scratch DJ Toolkit, which you can download at www.scratchdjtoolkit.com or djshorty.com/scratchdjtoolkit, right? Every one of my videos, I mention it, even if it's in the end screen cards or whatever, because then I'm capturing them into my world. I'm planting seeds. Every time you make a video, you're planting for YouTube, you're planting a seed that's just going to grow. I have videos that I planted, seeds I planted in the early 2000s that have millions of views now, just because of just sheer time that has passed. But now, so you're planting seeds, evergreen, business machine, basically, because now all my students, like, I don't have to make a video every week because my lessons are on there, are still bringing me in students. Like, yes, if I was more consistent, it would be even better. But, I'm one person. I have to spread, make sure I schedule my time well. But that said, if you look at YouTube as like you're planting seeds and you look at it as like an evergreen business machine, then you will see, okay, what you were saying about the sponsors and the companies wanting you to review their gear, that's just going to come to you, right? Because you're going to attract it. And same with me, students. I get students constantly. I grew my list like thousands just in the last year, just from YouTube and coupled with Instagram, because there's a huge, they work very, very well together. But so what I would say, if you're just looking for a platform, I would say pick a platform and dive deep on it and go hard on it. But if you're doing YouTube, it's great because it's evergreen. It's there forever. So don't look at the vanity metrics. It does not matter how many views you get. Watch time is king on YouTube. That's how you can get it. And you know that because that's how you monetize your channel. But the views don't matter. How many sales is that person getting? How many, in my case, how many students is she attracting? How many DJ gigs is that person getting? Who cares if there's only 100 views? If that person got 2 gigs out of it, that's a couple grand, if not more, for, right there. So, and that's the same thing and this is sort of a mindset thing, but when you get in, and we all do this as artists, when you get in, or as humans, when you get into the comparison game, like your scroll hole on Instagram and you start comparing, oh, well, she's doing this and, oh, he's doing that. He just got like 5,000 likes on that video. Like, why? Like, he has no talent. I have more talent in my little, whatever mind taffy and ego crap that's going through your head. Ultimately, none of that matters because you don't know what's really happening. You don't know if that video is actually working for them. You don't know if that is actually translating to income, sales, more fans, more gigs, more students, you don't know. And so someone who only got 10 likes on their Instagram post to those people could be clients that pay them tens of thousands of dollars. You don't know. So if you take that out of the equation and then also look at YouTube specifically as planting seeds and creating, and I look at it as profitable content, because yes, you're making a free video or a free thing on Instagram or a free Twitch stream. Yes, it's free in the moment, but it's still profitable content because it's going to be bringing you money on the back end forever. It's a seed. So I just wanted to add that to what you said because it's something that I'm really excited about and passionate about. And I've seen it happen in my own career and life as a teacher and as a DJ, and then also in my students' lives too. Like anyone who is really got their online marketing game on lock is going to be soaring by the time this is over. They're already soaring now. So study online marketing. If you're a DJ, I know it doesn't seem like, oh, but shouldn't I learn to scratch? Yes, you should learn to scratch and mix and use turntables. Also study online marketing. Get a lead magnet. Your lead magnet can be your mix. Don't just put a mix up on Mixcloud and let people listen to it for free. Yeah, they can listen to it for free, but then give them a link where they can download it. That download should then capture an email, because when all the social media platforms, if they all go away, you still have your email list and you can still, and and think of not like I'm collecting followers or collecting subscribers. You're making friends. If you start to think of it like that, oh, I'm on social media. I'm not just like, another follower. No, another friend. I'm making a friend. Have conversations. It's called social media for a reason, social. But it's the same thing with your email list. You're making friends. And then you're like super tight because you're in their inbox. They check that in their bed. I mean, people check Instagram in their bed too, but you're in bed with them now. It's crazy. So, and getting my students to shift their perspective, they're like, yeah, but why do I need an email list? I'm like, oh my God, you need an email list. And it took me so long to learn that too. So, Terry, if you don't have an email list, we're gonna set that up for you. Get your lead magnet sorted.
So I don't have an email list. I just started pushing people into Discord because I didn't like the fact that I didn't have a way to connect with people through all my platforms. So because I'm going to say this, I'm on the fence with emails because because it's one of those things where it's like there's so much potential spam with an email too. That being able to
but Facebook ads, Instagram ads, spams everywhere.
Yeah,
spams everywhere. So
you're gonna see on my video. My next video is gonna be like, oh, also blah blah blah. What? Trust me, I listen. I take what people say and I use it. So no, but that's actually a really really good a good thing you mentioned. And it's nowadays it's mostly being able to just grab people because it's like a webbing. My YouTube is a webbing. It's there to attract people.
Back to the Spider-Man reference.
Exactly,
I was listening at the beginning. Your COVID superpower.
Yes,
or your vaccine, rather.
Yeah. Money's still not coming out of my hand. I'm trying.
Oh, yes, it is. You planted those seeds on YouTube. It's coming.
So But because of this, because of the Wake Up in Cleveland show, which, you know, I started, I believe, in October. So it's like, it's all of these little things that just really establish you as a persona, as somebody that people can come to and say, you know what, on your show, if you can just say, this person is sponsored by blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And we will pay you X amount of dollars to just make sure that I have a company right now that I'm in talks with, and they have a bottled water. It's special water, you know how it is. And they're like, we just want the bottled water to sit
right
in
there.
frame.
Yeah.
You know, the whole time.
It's like Wayne's World.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You know, and we'll pay you. So I get it.
Hydro Flask. I'm not sponsored by them, but I could be.
You never know. You never know. And then there's this whole thing that I face. And by the way, shout out to DJ Audio One, Caper official in the house. What's going on, girl? Tweak music tips. I saw She Is J Rose in the house. That's Rel's better half.
Yes, I met her. Yes, that is the cycle of DJing. I taught him, he taught her. I love seeing the chain of how it connects.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Definitely,
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? Oh, I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
That's my fault. Spiderweb. Okay. Super. Oh, you were talking about connecting. You didn't say the word connection, but I look at it. You said grabbing people. I look at it as connection. Yeah. You're connecting with people.
Right, but so I was talking about. I can't remember. It's it's clearly not important. It'll come back up in my head.
Capturing people in your web.
It'll come back. I know it will. And while we're thinking,
we were a lot of insects today. The cocoon, the chrysalis, the budding, metamorphosis. Don't let me fly into your web though. I don't want to die.
We're gonna show another clip of you.
Oh my gosh, NAMM, pre-COVID. All those people like give me anxiety
now.
Right,
pre-COVID.
I can't hear it in case other people can hear it. I am not hearing anything, so maybe I'm just talking over myself now.
Hold on, if nobody's hearing anything, let's just it's my fault. Let's try that again.
That was the debut of the Rain 12, by the way. That's the first time I ever played on them. And the first time they ever debuted at the NAMM show.
This is an interesting video because, and I know you mentioned.
I want to talk about this too. So,
no, please do.
By the way, and you're reminding that I need to update these end cards and put my lead magnet on it.
There you go. See, I'm helping every day.
Free scratch samples and 11 exclusive beats, all produced by myself and my husband, DJ Faust, Urban Assault, represent. You won't get slammed for copyright. We won't come, you can play it on YouTube and scratch to it. Anyway.
But it's interesting, and I'll let you talk about this. This is the video. This is the NAMM 2018 that kind of put me on the map. So I went to this NAMM and I did a video about the Rain 12.
I think that was like 2017, wasn't it?
2017.
Yeah.
It was like.
It was around there too. When the 12s, it was the year the 12s debuted. Like nobody had them yet. I hadn't touched them. Yes. No one had touched them. I didn't touch them before that set, which I want to talk about. But yes, It was around then.
Yeah. So I went there and there's a whole video on how literally it says I went to NAMM to see the Rain 72 and Rain 12s, and I left disappointed. And I did that video because I went to NAMM and I couldn't find where the Rain booth was. I had no idea where the Rain booth was.
Stuck it upstairs.
Yes, exactly.
It used to always be downstairs. Yep.
It used to always be downstairs.
But that's when In Music bought Rain.
Exactly.
So In Music bought Rain, and there was a year where the year in between that year when old Rain and the transition to In Music, there was no Rain booth, and then they did one in the hallway, and that's what that was.
So that was my video, because I remember I was talking to somebody, I was from Scratch Academy, and I'm like, oh, where's Rain? I can't find Rain. He goes, oh, you haven't seen it yet? I'm like, no. He goes, oh, and he just starts laughing. I'm like, what? He goes, you'll see.
Mhm.
And so
Tiny
my whole video, my whole video was I saw the debut of this new flagship controller
Right.
in a hallway. You know,
Yep.
I see Audio One putting it in there in a
Wah,
hallway.
wah.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, and I actually said, I'm like, you know, they kept coming up saying, you know, hey, and I see DJ Icon trying to film me right there. They're like, hey, you want to get on the tables? And I'm like, no. There's one table, really. Everybody's staring at you like, I'm not trying to be there doing my thing.
Exactly.
So, no.
On a platform.
On a platform. Exactly. But that video was the first video that I received a lot of hate from, because this was prior to people understanding the way I thought. See, back when I started, everybody that did YouTube videos was all about the technical. It was just, tell me the stats, tell me the specs. That's all I want to know. Why are you using all these words? Like, just tell me what I want. And
We're there to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was the one that was like looking at like, you know, the Peter McKinnons and the Casey Neistats and going, I want to tell a story on my things. Everything should have a story. That way people can retain what you're saying.
Yep.
And
Create an experience too.
Create an experience. Yeah.
Storytelling.
Storytelling. So I did that video, but I didn't talk about Rain at all. I mean, I didn't talk about what I felt and blah, 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 because it wasn't about that. It was about what I experienced. And people were just like, oh, and they were just hating on me. That video, I almost considered, that's when I had like, I think I just hit like 1,500 followers. So I was finally able to monetize. I was excited. And that video almost made me stop, because so many people were just so angry and I'm just like, I don't know if this is
Hey,
worth
if you
it.
don't have haters, you're not doing anything. you're not making noise. You gotta have haters in order that means you're making ripples.
Yes. So I had, and we'll get back to, I had a video I posted last night, and the video was on people getting back into the world and realizing that, you know, customer service and the way you talk to people, everybody you speak to is a potential client. You have to treat them accordingly. And everybody's like, oh, this is a great video. I needed this, especially considering we're just starting up. I'll look down, dislike. I'm like, you're just angry. You're just an angry person. There's nothing I can do about you. You're just going to dislike everything I do. I'm cool with it. Whatever, you know? So it's like, you just got to live through it. But anyway, back to you.
Well, just hold on. Vanity metrics. Just look at that, like likes, dislikes, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Are you making clients? Are you making sales? Are you making connections with fans? Are you growing your fan base? You know, that kind of thing. Are you doesn't matter. If you don't like me, go ahead and leave. Like, I don't want you crowding our space. If you don't want to be on my mailing list, please get off, because I have to pay for the amount of subscribers that I have, and I don't want you hanging out if you don't want to be one of my VIPs. So, so don't get hung up on the vanity metrics. I just want to say that. So you're right. I'm glad you didn't stop.
But a lot of people don't realize this. The dislikes don't matter. YouTube doesn't care that you dislike a video.
No.
They care that you're on the video, watching the video. So even if you're watching the video so angry at me, I'm still getting those views because of you. So so in reality, in essence, you're still
some of the most viral videos are the most hated videos.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not that you should make hated videos, but
right. Very true. Very true. So back to you. So you said you this was your first time using it, and were you invited? You were provided. I assume you were invited to perform.
Oh my God, yeah. So I've been sponsored by Rain, the brand, in multiple iterations since 2001. I've been with Rain for really, like, basically we went around, Serato came around and whatever. We were on Final Scratch for a while, and then we switched to Rain. And it was like a family. That company, it was a woman that owned Rain, and she was the first woman in the music technology space to ever be a owner of a company. So it was
I didn't
already
know that.
groundbreaking. Yeah. Her name is Linda. And she built Rain from the ground up. That company was like, you know, Mike May, Dean Standing. These guys were like family to us. They were the reps. And my career wouldn't be the same without Rain and their support. It was such an excellent symbiotic relationship. I toured the world with Rain. I went to, you know, countries that I don't think I'd ever would have even imagined going to, the Middle East and Kenya and South Africa. And I'd already been all over Europe and, you know, DJing, but these were all, you know, countries that I was just like, you know, Bahrain and just like, it was amazing. So I had a great relationship with Rain, and I've always loved their products. And then when In Music bought Rain, I was like, oh. I was also sponsored. Yeah, I was also sponsored by In Music for other things. Elisa Sakai, and I did some stuff with them for Newmark because I liked Elisa Sakai. Nothing against Newmark, but it was like, you know, a trade-off. And but I knew it was like a big company. I'm also sponsored by Pioneer for CDJs. Also, big, massive company. Lots of red tape. Not the family-owned business.
So much red tape with Pioneer.
And in Washington State, which was where Rain was based. All the parts, everything was made in America. It wasn't shipped overseas, right?
I tell people all the time. You would send in your product, and the guy would
who fixed it.
The guy would answer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm working on it." And then you go to like the Serato forum, and then the same guys on the forum answering questions. Like it was a really small.
Then you go to NAMM and you meet him face to face.
Exactly, it was a different vibe. They don't make those vibes anymore, unfortunately.
Right? Yeah, I do. I miss that very, very much. But so you know, things happen. There's an end to everything. Everything is temporary. It was time for Rain to be bought by a different company or whatever. So In Music bought it, and there was that lull in between, and the year in between where they were still, you know, they weren't at NAMM, for example, right? And they were like, they hit me up and they were like, you know, we got this new product. It's this 12. It's a turntable controller. I was like, oh, cool, that's dope. They were like, do you want to showcase it? We're debuting it at this year's NAMM. I was like, yes, I'd love to. And we're also debuting a new mixer, the Rain 72. And I was like, oh, okay, dope. So I'll debut that too. Usually, and I played NAMM almost every single year. I think I've only missed 1 year for Rain, the Rain booth. So I've been in all the different places. They were usually downstairs, like you said, in the big room. And usually NAMM is so stressful as an artist, by the way. So I'm giving you a little peek behind the curtain.
Please do. Because I hope to one day actually perform at some booth at NAMM. So please tell me.
Well, be prepared to just take your anti-anxiety meds. Maybe smoke a little before. Anything to calm yourself down. Do some meditation and breathing because it's always beta equipment. It's always stuff that doesn't work quite right because they're debuting it, right? And so old Rain, I would at least get the new mixer. Like I debuted the 57. I taught how to use the whole thing. I debuted a lot of their new products, but they would send it to you like a month in advance. And even then it still wasn't enough time because it's not working correctly. Oh, you're calling tech support to fix things, make it work correctly. So you have that added stress. It's a new piece of gear. You got to learn it ahead of time. And then your rep is on the line because no one, in the audience knows that it might not be working correctly, but you need to make the product look good and you don't need to show your ass and everyone's filming it. Doesn't matter if there's only 5 people in front of you. One person's video could reach hundreds of thousands of millions of people and your rep is on the line. So you're like this the whole time. But I would at least get the gear like at least a week before. I think that was the shortest amount of time I had gotten the gear before NAMM. So I could touch it, get used to it, plan my set with it, whatever show I was going to teach it. That NAMM, new in music, God bless him, didn't send me anything. And I was so nervous because I was like, and I was more nervous about the 12s because I was like, I play on CDJs, I can play on controllers. My instrument is the turntable though. That's what I prefer to play on. And so I was just like, I don't want to do, like, they were like, do your beat juggle routine and your body tricks. And I'm like, I am not doing that on something I have never played on before. I mean, I did a routine for old school Rain where someone left butter rugs on the turntables and I hate nothing against butter rugs, but I cannot juggle with butter rugs because they're too slippery. And I didn't know, and I didn't put my own slip mats on. And I was on turntables and a mixer I played on before, and I flailed through that set and on my actual instrument because of the slip mats. So you can imagine how I felt. I've already been scarred numerous times by beta gear. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Then also, new mixer, I wasn't even thinking. I was like, yeah, I'm a little nervous about the new mixer. It's got buttons, pads I'm not used to. And they want me to like showcase the new features without touching it before. And so that is a little nerve wracking, but I was more nervous about the 12s. So I go on and I do my set. My set was like an hour too, which is a really long time.
That's for a long time.
For a showcase, especially with scratching and stuff like that. I was like, hard no on the juggles, but I'll scratch and I'll mix and I'll do a set. And I got on. First of all, the 12s, back then, when they debuted them, it was actual vinyl, right, that they had on them.
So much better.
Oh my God, yeah. And the new discs they made, the new black discs are good now. There was a acrylic period where it was a little sketchy. But the ones that I was playing on were actual vinyl. I got on. The only thing that kept reminding me that it was a 12 is because I kept reaching for the tone arm that wasn't there. But other than that, like, it was like so seamless. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Now, what did give me trouble was the mixer. The mixer crashed in the middle of my set. Oh, wow. I played 2 days, and the first day it crashed in the middle. So the thing that I wasn't worried about took shit. And then the other things, it was like I was just playing on turntables. So it was a very interesting experience for me. And that was like when the product crashes and you're like, I'm doing my best, like, let me give you an inner look into a DJ set playing on beta gear. It's like, all right, I'm doing my set, scratching. There's a wall of people in front of me. All right, cool. They're feeling. Press this button. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, I'm sure tweak this now. Oh, that's not working. Avoid that next time. Okay, so this is like all what's going through your head as you're performing. Cameras in front of you and all that. But but you're playing it off because again, you're the endorsed artist that's there to make the product look good. But when it crashes, it's just like, it's beta gear. I'm sorry, it's not me. And then the next day they fixed the problem. I had an amazing set. But yeah, so when you showed that clip, all the feels came up, all the anxiety, because I've already get super stressed at NAMM anyway for all the reasons that I mentioned. But that year was just crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, I love the 12s. And it's funny because that was the same year that Phase debuted. And Phase was the new hot shit. Like everyone was like, ooh, it's the new trendy thing, like Phase. And it was just it was a prototype that they made with a 3D printer that they debuted. They didn't have the products. And it was the same year that Rain brought out all this big heavy gear, right? These big 12s or whatever. And people were like all on the Phase. And I was looking at it and I was like, that's really cool. It's groundbreaking. It's a really cool idea. I love it. I couldn't seriously play a set on it. like that's how I looked at it. And then I went and tried it. There was a big drift. They fixed it now, but back then there was a huge drift. I was like, there's no way I could juggle. My marks are moving, stuff like that.
Definitely not juggling.
And my girl Anna, I love her to death. Anna Lies, shout out. She's a turntable. She was like all about the Phase. And I'm like, Anna, the 12s. Check it. She's like, no, they're big, they're bulky, the Phase. And so my instinct was that the 12s would have longevity. The Phase is still here. It's killing it. People love it. But it has a slight drift still.
If they had come out with the HID, if they had come out with the HID at the same time as the 12s, it'd be a completely different argument.
Yeah. I feel like they debuted too early, and then there was that long wait time where no one could get it. They had bought it, but they didn't get it, and then they soiled their sort of reputation a little bit with their customer base. Yeah, exactly. They lost a lot of trust. Which, and that's you learn and grow or whatever. It's a great product, whatever. But yeah, it's just funny. They both came out at the same time. And then now looking back to see, how things have evolved and stuff like that. But yeah, I love the 12s. They're awesome.
And the MK2s, the 12 MK2s are very, very good.
Yeah.
I didn't like the MK1s as much, but the MK2s I'm really, really excited with. It's funny because you were talking about Rain. And I think one of the issues they have, especially within music, I don't know if it was the same when it was just, a private owned company, but the product getting to you seems to take longer now. Like, oh, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be releasing this. And it's like, great. Okay, cool. Oh, we're sending to you. okay, it's not
Everything,
here. It's
everything's on back order.
everything's on back order. So I still have since my daughter is in college right now, her room is like my box room. So I have like Rain 12s and the 72 is all packed away in there. And yeah. So but I really did like the Rain 12s. The MK2s. They're really, really good product. And I like the Rain 1. Have you used the Rain 1 at all?
I haven't touched it myself,
Okay.
but I have students that use it, and I before that came out, I would recommend people that wanted a controller, but also wanted the independent spinning platter was the Newmark NS7.
Okay.
And so that was the original technology. They had the little 45 records on it, and it had the independent, the motorized platter underneath, and so you got the controller environment, but with the experience of vinyl. It was smaller, but that was the only controller for a while. Now, what I will say is in music, it's an umbrella company. They own Denon, Newmark, Alicia Sakai. So the pads on the Rain mixer are the Akai pads. It's very incestuous with the technology.
No, you're right.
So the Rain 12s, Newmark and S6, a lot of the ideas came, the engineers are they're talking to each other.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
They also made a motorized platter later. But when the Rain 12, I was like, try to get an NS7 if you can on eBay, like before the Rain 12 or the Rain 1 came out, because they were still like, I tried other ones, but that was like quality. And I only want to recommend quality to my students. But now, with the one, it's like I haven't touched it, but I know it's the same technology. It's the same exact thing, just in a smaller scale. And so now my students
you can put it in a bag and walk with it. You can walk around with it.
Exactly. So if I were to use a controller now, that would be the one. And I use that term loosely because 12s are turntable controllers, but it's not the same. I mean, an all-in-one DJ controller. It would be that. Because but I'm also immersed in the Rain world. I saw a comment before you brought me on in the chat that I apparently use your most hated mixer. And I just cracked up when I saw that. The 72 is not your. Are you Pioneer guy? Do you prefer the S11 or the S9? Which are also amazing mixers, by the way.
Okay, so to be fair, and I know people like to give me a hard time about it. The 72 definitely didn't work for me specifically. And what I told people, I actually told Mojex this, like when they were supposed to send me, but when they were supposed to send me the 72 or the MK2s, it was delayed. So I was
already
back
lost
forever. Yeah, right. So then the S11, Pioneer's like, hey, we want you to review this. I got the product, I started using it, and I fell in love with the S11. Then I got the 72. S9? The S11.
Oh, so this is recent.
This is recent. Okay. So they were supposed to send me an entire Rain 72 12 MK2 package.
Right, the new one. Right.
Yeah. So then I got the S11, and I think it was released in September, so I got it maybe late August. And I'm using it, and everything's great. And I do the review, and I'm just like, this is an amazing mixer. This is a great evolution of the S9. Then Rain contacted me. They're like, okay, hey, we finally have the Rain setup. We're going to send you. I'm like, okay, great. Send it to me. I'll test it out. And then I start messing with the 72, and I legitimately texted Mojax. I'm like, I really wish to God they had sent me this before I started messing with the S11.
The S11.
Yeah, because it's so night and day different now, and I'm having a hard time connecting with it. Now, I say that because I bought, so NAMM 2020, they released the Rain 70. The Rain 70 mixer, the screenless Rain 72.
Screenless one, yep.
Fell in love with it. Wonderful mixer. I bought that mixer myself. Yeah, so that's the one I've been using until I got the S11. And actually the Rain 70 is actually underneath here because I just switched over to the Innofaders. And then I have a new love for this. But there's nothing wrong with somebody liking something more than another thing, because I know people that are like, oh, the Rain, it's a tool. People are like, oh, Rain 72, S11. Oh, I love the Rain 72. I don't like the S11. I'm like, people just
I like dark chocolate. You like milk chocolate. We all have different.
Yes.
The tools that we use. It's like I could play the trumpet or I could play the trombone. They're both brass instruments. They make similar sounds, not quite the same, but or even more. I could use a Remo snare drum, or I could use a Yamaha snare drum.
Right.
Ultimately, none of that matters. I could use PC DJ if that was my jam, and I knew PC DJ in and out, and that's how I was able to flourish as an artist. It does not matter what the tool is. It matters what you create with it. So you could have the most high-end gear and be total shit. You could be just a crap DJ, even with the most high-end gear, where someone else could have like an entry-level Newmark controller or something.
Newmark Platinum.
And just kill that shit. Like be amazing and blow your mind. And so tools are irrelevant when anyone's like, oh, that mixer sucks. I'm like, okay, for you. And that mixer sucks. Okay, it sucks for you. Like, you know, now there is poor quality equipment, and that's but even then it doesn't matter. You could case in point, when we started learning, when I started learning, my husband had already been DJing 10 years, and he's the one who taught me the basics of mixing, scratching, and beat juggling. He had 2 turntables, but we needed a mixer. He needed a new mixer. And so I needed one because I was learning. And so I bought him for Christmas a little Gemini Scratch Master. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it was literally like this big and that tall or whatever. And the fader was like, like it's so tough and whatever. But that's what I learned on until my cat peed in it. Then we couldn't use it anymore. And so then Bobby broke out his old MTX mixer, fixed it, the one that we were replacing it with the Gemini, just made the fader really loose. It still faded in, but it was really loose. And that is what I learned on and created my first routines on, and learning on subpar gear actually made me better as a DJ, you know, because you can't rely on the bells and whistles to get you through things. It's like you're completely reliant on skills. Now, I'm not saying learn on something crappy if you can afford something better, but I'm just saying that ultimately it's not the tool, it's what you do with it.
Yeah, agreed. And so
that's a double entendre. I'm not going to go there, but
no, but I totally agree with you. No, you're good, and I totally understand and I agree. Which is why, you know, the first thing I said in the video was like, look, guys, before I start talking about the Rain 72, and there are some amazing features of this mixer. I don't want to take away from that, but this is really hard for me to talk poorly about mixers that are amazing. But you guys are asking me to review this product. So, you know, the S11, the 72, they're both like, they're amazing mixers. Yeah. So
it's just preference.
It's just a preference thing.
It's all relative. It's personal preference. So, and I love Pioneer. Their mixers are great. But it's like, you know, am I going to use a Remo snare drum or a Yamaha? I prefer Remo, you know, so, or Pearl actually is what I prefer. But so I prefer Rain, but I've been in that, culture, in that world for so long. It's just natural. It feels awkward to be on a Pioneer mixer for me. I'm not as, you know, but it's amazing. It's cool. And especially if I have students coming from the Pioneer world, say they have a Pioneer controller, I don't recommend a Rain mixer. I keep them in the world that they're in. I show them there's other options. You know, if they're unhappy with their Pioneer gear, okay, let's check out Rain. But I'm not going to be like, here, I'm sponsored by this company, buy their gear. No, get what's good for you. Ultimately, you have to find the right gear for you, not the right gear for me. And so many people just want you to say, buy this thing, and so they can just go buy it.
Oh, God. Welcome to my life.
Right, exactly. And what they don't realize is that really what they should be Googling is not what mixer should I buy, it's what features should I look for in a mixer to find the right mixer for me. That's so the more you learn about the features, the faders, the knobs, the pads, the inner software, anything that, you know, complete kill to zero, that's a huge thing for me. I got to have complete kill to zero on my EQ. I don't know about the S11, but the older Pioneer mixers does not have complete
they do have complete kill now.
finally. But that was like a big, hard no for me because I don't want a little frequency passing through. Like, and so it doesn't matter the brand. It's what are the features on it? What am I looking for? And also, what are my end goals? So if I'm helping a student buy gear, it's like, well, what do you want to do with this thing that you're buying? You know, what is your end goal? And then now that's okay. That narrows out a lot of things. Now we can focus in on this thing. But yeah, study the features and not the brands or the new hot thing. Don't jump on the new bandwagon just because everybody else is. Really do the research and find what's good for you because that's how you're going to thrive more as an artist.
And that's the hardest part too of being a tech YouTuber because people will ask me,
I'm sure.
Well, what should I
just
get?
Want you to do the work for them.
yeah. And I even have friends that are like, oh, well, I'm doing this and I'm just listening to them. Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'll be honest with my friends. I'm like, look, I know you'd be better off just getting this mixer. Well,
but that's different. You know the person.
Yes.
And you know their goals. You don't know this random person on YouTube watching your video.
People on YouTube are like, now, okay, thank you for this video. Should I buy it? Or thank you for this video. Now, can you compare this to the Rain version? And I'm just sitting there like, I could, but they're two different animals. Like, why you should?
It's like Mac and PC.
Right. Yeah. But I'm like, if you look at this video, I did a video where I broke down the Rain 72. And then I did a video where I broke down the S11. If you just watch both videos, you get your answer. And that's why I've always told people, I'm like, guys, if you just listen to what I'm saying, there's an answer in there. I may not flat out say exactly this is why I like. It's like I did one. Which video was it? Oh, I was talking about the people for whatever reason needed me to compare DDJ 1000 with the Rain 1, and I'm like, they're nowhere near the same hardware, like not even close.
Like pasta and oatmeal.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just like, look, and I went through this whole thing. And I said, look, bottom line, guys, if you're a DJ that likes to scratch and you're used to turntables and spinning jogs, the Rain 1 is going to make the most sense. And there's nothing that I can say that's going to take you that's going to change your mind. The DDJ 1000 is a jog wheel, so it's a completely different animal. Yeah. And people were still. And I did that video and I said, I'm a scratch DJ guy. So I'm going to prefer the Rain 1. People were like, you didn't answer the question. Like, okay, all right, I'm done.
Well, the only thing that you can answer definitively is what's the right gear for you. You personally, exactly. You can't answer what's the right gear for them. Focus on the features, not the but people learn. They're going to go down the YouTube rabbit hole and watch a bazillion videos and then finally land on something. And then they might buy it and decide, oh, I don't like this. I'm going to return it and buy something else. You just clarity comes from engagement, not thought. That's a huge mantra that I've been living recently. Meaning it takes action to inform your decisions. You can't just sit and think about it, right? Yes, you do research, you watch videos, but ultimately you're not going to be fully informed until you start touching it and start using it and seeing if it fits in your workflow as an artist. Like that's how you're truly, no one on YouTube can ever look into a crystal ball and say, this is the right gear for you. Right. So I hear your pain.
And it's not even the right, and especially because of COVID, all of my meetings, you know this, all of your corporate meetings with these companies, it's all over Zoom, it's all over, Skype or whatever. And you're looking at this stuff and they're, a lot of times they're talking about like unreleased products. What do you think about this? And then they show you to you and you're just like sitting there, like looking like, I have no idea what I think.
I need to touch it. Give it to me.
Yeah, right, exactly. And
I'll send it back. I don't care, but give it to me. I need to touch it. I can't answer your question. Right, exactly.
Yeah. So what we're going to do real quick, and then we're going to get into the ask part of this thing, because I've kept you on for a while, and I appreciate you hanging on. But I do have to go to the bathroom. So we're going to pause for a minute and jump into a video of yours and check it out for a second. So please sit tight. So that's pretty good for just your first year.
Oh yeah, I just started the day before that video was shot. You know, just naturally talented.
Oh man,
I have a story about that one too. Oh my
Please,
god,
tell the story.
You picked all the ones with the feels. So that one was a routine that I was hired to do by Rain and BPM Supreme and iDJ Now. They did like this giveaway. It was a New Year, New Gear thing. And so they were doing it was around the time, I think it was that year that the Rain 12s came out, but it was towards the end of the year. Anyway, so I had familiar with the gear, had the 12, so that wasn't the issue. The issue with that set was I love 12-inch skins. I use, you see on my mixer, it says Shorty.
Yes.
I got labels. I also have picture vinyl. They're amazing. He's awesome. The guy that runs the company is awesome. If you want to get skin your gear, go to 12-inch skins. But so he made me special discs for the Rain 12s. And that was around the time when they had the questionable material
Yes.
that I was talking about earlier. And he hadn't honed
I did
in.
notice, hold on. I did notice that a couple of times you wiped your hands.
Oh yeah.
Because this is a recurring thing with the scratch acrylic, that if it gets hot in a room, your hands become useless because you start to get a little sweat on them and they don't work on the 12s.
We nicknamed my leggings ShamWow leggings because I was constantly wiping my hands on my leggings. Like the behind the scenes footage was hilarious. I mean, and I had all these hot lights on me because it's in a film studio.
Right.
So it was just like, and I'm nervous anyway because it's, performing and I don't want to film it a bunch of times. And I, all the normal nerves that come up when you're doing a turntablist routine or any performance. But my hands were sliding all over those damn things, and it totally affected my routine. I got some good enough takes that we were able to release it.
Cut it up.
But yeah, you caught some of them wiping off those hands because my hands were sliding everywhere. And it's so funny. After that experience, I called up 12-inch skins, and I was like, "Yo, we need to work on these discs. My hands were sliding everywhere. It's a problem." And so he started R&Ding with me, research and developing like new discs, and he tried all these different textures on the discs, and then we narrowed it down to like these dots, which was I was like, grooves, make it like records. But then the grooves one, it seemed like your hands would like slip in the groove, and it still had a slippy effect, whereas these little tiny raised bumps on the vinyl, and I don't know if he's still using them, but that is what he sent me a bunch of. And so now if you see me using picture vinyl picture discs on the 12s, it's the ones with the raised bumps. And it was just a really interesting journey going through with him, trying to find the right texture, because that was a thing. And that's why Rain switched from those white discs that were that weird acrylic material to now what they have now, which is the black ones, which are decent and good. But you could always drill holes in actual vinyl records and put that piece on, and then it's just like but it's all about, you gotta have a good slip mat. You gotta have a good slip mat. So
the
stretch
marketing.
like a girl. Yeah. But no, go to Glowtronics. Glowtronics is where I get all my slip mats. I don't get any kickback for this. If you use Shorty 25, you can get 25% off your own custom slip mat. So if you like this logo, you can get it in my shop. But if you want like your name, like, Cleveland Terry, on a really dope slip mat, they make 9-ounce and 16-ounce. They even make cork slip mats, which is really interesting.
Wow.
Not good for scratching, but the 9-ounce is, for me, is my perfect for both scratching and beat juggling. Like I said, butter rugs are too slim for me, but yeah, just wanted to plug Glowtronics because they're awesome. And if you want 25% off your own custom mats, I don't get any money for saying that. I just love that's how much, and I only endorse products that I use and love, and so just wanted to give them a little shout out. But yeah, 12-inch skins too.
Kid cut up when he was doing the Pink tour. It would get so hot in there that he legitimately put like actual like almost like a traction. He glued onto it just so he could because he was getting so hot.
That's smart. I used to joked with do you know Mr. Chalk? You know Mr. Chalk.
Yeah, of course.
If you're in California.
Yeah.
Mr. Chalk, we used to teach together at Scratch DJ Academy. He's original beat junkie. He gets teased a lot because he sweats a lot. And so he's always got a towel on his shoulder. And like, he's just like constantly sweating. He's in the zone and he's just like, it becomes part of his routine to wipe sweat. Like it's a thing. Just like my husband same thing. He has dry fingers. So when he does a beat juggle routine, he works into the routine, the licking of the fingers as part of, it becomes a part of the routine. So anyway, I was joking with Chuck. I was like, I felt like you, man, on the Rain 12s with the acrylics. Like sliding all over the place. Is that what you deal with all the time? I can't even imagine. I need that towel. Got my ShamWow leggings, but
and it's interesting too. Now when I watch people lick their fingers, because some people do it out of habit, and it has nothing to do with the record. They're just so used to doing their thing now. But I watch now, and I'm just it's just
like
the
COVID.
time we live in. COVID. I'm like, I got to go behind you. No, you got to use your own records now. Your own records, your own fader cap.
No. No, yeah.
It's such a different world. Such a different world.
When I see an audience of people, like I said, when I watch those videos at NAMM, I'm like, like I have this now. Yeah,
that's a good question though. Like, what are we gonna do? NAMM. I'm assuming that NAMM 2022 is gonna happen. But what do you do? Are we shaking hands? Are we?
Not
you know what I'm saying? Like, what do we do now? It's so weird.
Yeah, it's so weird because we haven't met in person. But if we had pre-COVID, the first thing I would have done is given you a huge bear hug. And I'm just like, I'm known for my hugs. Rel can talk to you about my hugs. I'm a squeezer. And sometimes I'm like, I got to be cognizant of people who don't like that, so because I can be over people's boundaries sometimes, but that's how much I love to hug. And now it's like, I can't even, it's so weird. Like my whole identity is now shifted because I don't even want to touch like elbow. Let's just stay 10 feet away. Like virtual hugs. I send a lot of people virtual hugs, and my students, like, I'm looking at you on a Logitech Brio. So it's not the GoPro, but when I teach, I have a GoPro in front of me. And it's, you know how it distorts the camera, right? And I always give them a virtual hug after. You have me cut right now, but I give them a virtual hug and also extend my arms out, and they're like they're like Gumby arms, and I'm like virtual hug, and then I'm like squeeze yourself. Which, by the way, this is therapeutic. You should do this because it makes you feel really good. It really does. It's like science, but feel the hug and everything. So that's how I hug. But I don't know what I'm gonna do at NAMM. I don't know if I'll be there. Quite honestly, I have anxiety issues. I've had them all my life, OCD and stuff like that. And I've I've been a germaphobe, but not in the, washing my hands constantly or, all that. But now I feel like I'm there. Like not in terms of like, if I was in a public place, I don't know what to do like in like a NAMM public place. So yeah, to answer your question, I don't know. Again, it's relative to the person, but me personally, I don't know. I've also become more, I've always been a extroverted introvert. A lot of people think, oh, you're so talkative, you're outgoing, you love to hug, right? And I'm like, yeah, but that's all that's all what you see. I'm a Leo
Yeah.
rising. So, but
I'm a Capricorn.
inside,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, but it's like very out. It's like performative, but the inside is like, I would much rather be in my creative cave by myself, right?
Yes.
So, and it sucks a lot. Like I have a lot of energy, but it also zaps my energy. So I need time to recuperate and recover.
100%.
Yeah. So now, and if you're like that, it's like, yeah, you're on, and people expect you to be on all the time, right? And so now that I was actually made for the pandemic, I feel like I'm actually not having too much of a problem being
people
here
are like,
by myself.
I gotta touch people. I'm like, why? I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Like not just the touching, but just like the working like this. Like I'm kind of cool with this, and feel a little guilty about feeling that way. But I'm not. It wasn't like some of my friends or my students. They're like, I need that connection. I need to be in front of an audience.
That's my wife.
I get
100%.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm cool. Like, would want to do it online.
Yeah, right.
And so now, like, I don't know what my new reality is going to be like, because it's allowed me to regress a little bit into my introvertedness. And so I don't know. And it sounds like you're very similar. How are you going to deal with it?
Look, we all know the tricks of the trade to kind of present yourself in a certain way, and then the way you are. Like, I'm the kind of person that can just like you.
It's
I can go into,
but it's just like you can't do it all the time. Yeah,
exactly. Like my wife needs to be out and touching and talking to people. I'm the kind of person that's like I can go into my office and just like, oh fine, I'll just take this time and shoot videos or work on a mix or do whatever, and I'll be in there forever. And she's just like, I don't understand you. I've been stuck here all by myself, and just like I don't relate as much. So I have to like force myself to like, okay, I have to go sit on the couch and watch TV because I need to do this. Do I want to necessarily do this? I don't know. But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Completely.
but but I'm also the same person that can go to a movie by myself, in the middle of the day and be completely fine.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people aren't like that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I think if everything moves the way it's supposed to be, like, the president is stating, and we get to May and June, and the vaccine is available for everybody that wants it.
And the variants, got to keep the variants in mind.
And the variants too. Yeah. But it's funny though, because but the variants to me is just one of those, I believe in news. Okay. But I also know that news is designed to get eyes on. It's like, when you do a YouTube video and you say something clickbait. And people are like, oh, it's clickbait. It's like, no, it's not. It's just slightly different than what you read in the title.
Right.
It's the same thing with the news, because it's like every time you watch it, it's just, oh, there's more drama. So I'm of the mindset that every single thing that's coming out right now is coming out with the understanding that there are variants. So we should be fine. And if we're going to be, and if we are fine, because if we have to go through another year of this, I'm not sure that it's possible. I think there's going to be a lot of changes across the board. Like my DJ company, another year of you're not working, 100%, I'd have to do something different, because at a certain point,
come on, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, no,
I'm not saying, right, but you can make money now. You don't need to be touring to make money.
I agree. However, the amount of money that I was making,
understood,
is way different. So,
like,
for instance, it's an adjustment. Like the YouTube thing was always because, I have a family. I got many kids, 3 kids.
You have a girl in college.
Girl in college. So look, everything's expensive right now. Kids are in dance. So I created the YouTube thing as a way to kind of break away, because I was so busy working for the company and building that thing. I stopped being creative. I used to make music, like all these little things. So I used YouTube as a creative outlet. And then when the money started coming in, I was like, oh, great. So I created a separate account that I don't even touch, and all the money went into that. Now, of course, now I have to use it because I just have to pay for my roof. But the point is, but
you had it to do that with.
Right. So the point is, I needed a savings account that I didn't touch, that in the course of a rainy day I could touch, and that's what it's for. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So once we get to a place where finally the company's back in business and I'm doing this and the Twitch, like financially speaking, I will be in a considerably better place.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
You know, but we're not there yet. And I'm okay with that. And if I have to mutate, like there is new money coming in and there's new stuff coming in and all of these sponsorships and all these people hire me to do these new things. Like this is all an avenue that I hadn't touched a year ago. You know, so
Right.
it's creating new ways to make money, and there's a couple of things that I'm thinking about that, you know, it just takes time. It all just takes a little time to sit back and do.
You're gonna look back on this though and be so grateful. I mean, yes, there's been so much pain and hardship, and I'm not talking about being grateful for that part of things, but this sort of evolution, like 10 years from now, you're gonna be looking back, and who knows, you could be, you know, I don't even know where you're gonna be. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
But you're gonna look back and be like, it was that year. It was that year that was the turning point, you know? And like I said, the Renaissance is coming. You're already starting to see it, right? And you're a part of that. And but it's all this, we had to go through that. Everything that you go through that's hard, that you survive, there's a reason, I believe anyway, there's a reason you went through it. You are here to learn. I also believe that. You may not believe it, but I feel like we're here on this in life to learn. It's all lessons. Some of the best lessons are the hardest ones, right?
Yes.
But that's also how you learn really, really quickly. My software engineer students say fail early and fail often. And because that's how you learn. And again, clarity comes from engagement, not thought. If you're just thinking about it, but you're afraid to fail and you don't like go through that, then you're going to learn really, really slowly, or a lot slower than you would if you went to for example, that first live gig before you were ready. Another mantra I use is start before you're ready, because you're going to learn a lot faster. And oh my gosh, not going to plug it in that way again. Oh, the record ran out. Not going to let that happen again. You know, like it's like all these little faithful attempts in learning, FAIL, that you go through that, you know, the gold is in the mistakes. They're happy accidents. And so you're going to look back on this year, not that it was an epic fail. It was actually an epic win in a lot of ways, but going through, it's hard, you know, you're learning so much faster, and you're going to look and be like, that was the year that changed everything. Had I not gone through that, you know, and I feel a lot of people are going to, I mean, I know I'm going to say it. A lot of people are going to be feeling that way, but it doesn't feel like it when you're in it, when you're like, I don't know where I'm going to get my next roll of toilet paper. Come on, guys. What's going on?
But you'll work it out though.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've been the biggest just do it kind of guy. You know, like, oh, if you think you want to do it, just do it.
Yeah, try it.
And then work your
You'll
way
know
through
really
it.
quick.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I did with the YouTube, and people, you know, had their own opinions, and I'm like, I kind of know what I want to do. With the Wake Up in Cleveland, people had opinions. I'm like, I kind of know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think for whatever reason, one of my strengths is my ability to be self-critical. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to look and actually turn around and look at something and say, oh, you know what? I need to do this. I know a lot of people struggle with that part, but I'm always trying to improve everything that I do. So everybody's different. Everybody operates on their own time frame, but unless you've started, it doesn't matter. It won't matter if you don't start it.
Right.
So, you know, start with what you got and work. This whole setup right here, I know I made a joke early on about the cheap thing and all that stuff, but
I love your background, by the way. It's amazing. It was the first thing I noticed. I was like, that background is dope.
Yeah, but the whole setup, it didn't start out this way. It didn't start out with having light panels and overhead camera and all the, like, this is a year in the making, you know. So people need to understand that when they look at the people, because I know that is a barrier that people face. They get on to Twitch right now, or they get onto YouTube and they see all these people and everything looks amazing. They're like, well,
they're seeing the end game. They're not seeing all the shit that went into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got to keep rolling, and sooner or later it will work. It will work out. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this guy. I think, see, the good thing about YouTube being live is anybody and everybody can come on to stream. 10 years from now, the U.S. will have experienced a Soviet-like disintegration of the state. There will be a separate confederacy fending for themselves. The empire will implode on itself. Well, way to be positive.
Yep, that's inspiring. Thanks. It's all relative. You know, you are what you think. If you want to think that, go right ahead. I'm not going to myself, but
Exactly.
But, but what you were saying, I just want to piggyback on that just a little bit. Back to what you were saying about the people seeing like all the end result of all the work that you put in, but not seeing all the work that it took to get there. That's also like actors, like for instance, like, oh, they just got famous all of a sudden. You don't see the 10 years of work that they put in and all the failed auditions and all that. But in terms of like taking action, a lot of people are like, oh, but I don't know what to do. All you know, like, I don't know the steps I need to take. All you need to do is figure out the first step. That's it. Just step one. And that step one could be like, I don't know what step one is. Let me Google it. You know, like literally. And then that will inform step two and step three. You can only do it one step, but yeah, it's helpful to see the whole path in front of you. And you can take online courses that can show you, you know, stuff like that and whatever thing you want to learn. And you can read books and all that and get the overarching umbrella. But until you actually do it, you're still going to I've taken a bazillion online courses about online marketing. And until I actually put it into action and seeing what works for me, I was like, okay, well, that doesn't work for me. Even though it works, this person made millions off of it. It doesn't work for me. So you're only going to know until you try it. So then you only have to know one step, just one to get started. And that will inform the rest of your stuff rather than just sitting and not doing anything and just taking forever and then losing your motivation, being like, I don't really want to do that. And when really maybe you should have, and now you're just missing out on this great opportunity. So anyway, I'm getting off my soapbox.
No, it's fine. And the other thing, you have to at a certain point start to realize, I've always been the person that would do something and then I'd bring other people in to kind of, you know, build together. At a certain point, it's okay to be a little selfish for your own personal growth. It's okay for you to say, you know what, I need to do this for myself.
Self-care is the thing.
Exactly. Because I've run into the same thing where I'm just like,
you can't show up for others unless you show up for yourself first.
Exactly. So this for me, like the second half of this year is all about really just building me up and building what I'm doing myself.
Good.
My brand, because look, like my company Check 1 2, that's a brand of its own. Cleveland Terry is a brand. And I have to. Did we get a raid from TLM? Did we get a raid from DJ TLM? Yes, we did.
I love him. He's awesome. Killer. He's killing it on YouTube. He's killer. He's a YouTuber. Yeah.
TLM's my guy.
Rob, man. Watch your videos all the time. He's killing it. Love him.
They're great. They're great. Yeah, I had him on a couple of months ago, and he is the reason. He's the reason that my background looks the way it does now. When I first started the show, I did a green screen. And so it was just like wake ups in the background, all this stuff. And then he came on and he didn't say anything, but he came on. It actually, Mojack said something first. He had said like, oh, you have a little green trim around your head. Like, oh, you know, what's that little green halo? And I'm like, it's a green screen. Then he came on and he had the lights working and the perfect shadow on his face and everything was looking. And then I'm looking at him and I'm looking at me. And looking at him, and it's like,
that takes time.
Yeah, that moment I was like, I gotta
research.
Stop this right
a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into putting together that setup, right?
Exactly.
And figuring out what works for that person, and you too has evolved, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now I can bring TLM back on. Like, hey man, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's have a Boca challenge. Let's do this.
Upgrade. Every time I go live, I have a new light, a new something,
yes,
right.
Exactly.
And when I do Zoom parties or dance parties, it's like a disco room in here. Like, oh, everything's going off. Some of my students are really good with that too. Like I said, Miss Ninja and BB. But yeah, you gotta you create the environment, and it becomes fun. It's like, ooh, what other cool little light can I add? What little thing can I add to the experience of it all?
And it's okay to change your angle. People are always so focused on it being like directly, like, change your angle. Like normally I would sit over here and have the full frame in effect with the picture. I'm like, no, I'm going to shoot it this way. And this way works too. It's just like, just change it up a little bit. Give people something different when they're watching you, you know? So
it's a pattern interrupt too. So they pay attention more.
Exactly. All right. So what we're going to do is, we're going to throw out the ask because,
what's the ask?
Well, the ask is actually, we're going to do this real quick. Actually, we're going to make it seem cool. Hold on. Let's see if it works. Not that.
Looks cool though.
No, that's not what I wanted. That is not the one I wanted. This is the one I wanted. There we go. This guy right here.
Ah, yes.
Yes,
Hashtag
that's
ask.
the one I wanted. So if you have any questions for DJ Shorty, and I need to go back to myself. I'm still working on that. My OBS is not, I still have two different platforms that I'm working off of. So if you have any questions for DJ Shorty, now is the time to ask them. I do remember there were a couple of questions that popped up. First off, I think I know the answer, but why do they call you DJ Shorty? Where'd the name come from?
Well, I'm short, but it was always my nickname in, growing up, because I was always the shortest person in school. I was always also the youngest person because I started kindergarten when I was 4 because of the way my birthday was. It's in October. So I was always the youngest, last person to get my license or whatever. So Shorty was a nickname. And then when I started learning to DJ and I was choosing my nickname, I went through a bunch of different ideas, but I kept coming back to Shorty because I already answered to it. It just felt really natural. There weren't any others with any other spelling at the time. This was 1995. Remember, perks of being older. So I got to be the first OG Shorty of any spelling. And also the key kicker, what was the sell point for me, the main selling point, is back then there was no Serato, there were no CDJs even. Like the only way to scratch your name is if it was on vinyl. And there were a few hip hop songs that said Shorty in it. So that was Rebirth of Slick. That was What's Her Faces. There were a couple.
Yeah.
So that said Shorty in it. So I was like, okay, cool. I can scratch my name. Because I also saw my husband, whose name was Faust. Actually, it was Malice first, and then he changed it to Faust. Both of which are really hard to find on vinyl.
Yes.
So I didn't want that to happen to me. So I picked Shorty. Now I hit the jackpot. Because then, as hip hop evolved, then it became like it was like everyone was just saying it like
"What's up, Shorty?" All the time. That was the thing.
It's like part of their vocabulary, like regularly. So I really lucked out with that. But I am the original. There a few other Shorties evolved over time. Shorty with a Y. There's a few short -es.
There's a Shorty rapper that has it with a secondary name in it.
Rappers. Yeah. But I'm talking DJs, right? There's also a Shorty that spells it the way, there's two that spell it the way I spell it. But I was the first. And it's because I'm short. Really easy story. My husband has a whole like really cool story about the myth of Faust and
I signed my soul to the devil to be this great DJ.
And then I became the dopest DJ and I tricked the devil and got my soul back and all. I'm just short. That's
you.
Why.
Fair enough. Mixmaster GNL. Yeah, I know about that. I just haven't taken the time to program everything in. I've been a little busy. The problem is,
I use my phone. You can there's an app on your phone. If you use Streamlabs, you can.
So that thing burned me, and I never looked at it again. I was on there. I was like, oh, sweet, I don't have to buy a Stream Deck. I'll just use my iPad and use Streamlabs. And I was in it, and I was checking out everything. This was before I had the show. And then I went to press a button, and then the entire thing just like went to nothingness. And I was like, okay, if I can't trust it, it's going to be there when I need it. I'm not using it.
No.
Yeah. So I bought a Stream Deck.
But now I'm going to knock on wood every time I use it.
Exactly. So I bought a Stream Deck before because me going back to, see, this is the GOAT
computer
right here.
Is it the Elgato? Yeah.
Elgato Stream Deck. But I didn't have a computer before. I was running everything out of my ATEM Mini. So I had a custom computer built by Arabian Prince, the Arabian Prince.
That's my boy!
Yeah. So he built me this GOAT computer, and I started. I'm slowly getting back into the OBS situation.
Yeah.
So it's slow and steady. All right, let's see here. What else? Okay. Question mark says, does Faust still teach with you? I had a great time with you guys at Scratch.
Yes, he was my teacher's assistant at Scratch.
That's got to be weird. That's got to be a little weird, though, right? Like, he taught you, and now he's your teacher's assistant.
Well, here's the thing. He was never a teacher. So
Right.
I learned from him. I learned the basics too. Like this again, 1995. There were crabs weren't a thing yet. Flares weren't even a thing yet. So I learned like
Mhm.
the basics of mixing, scratching, and beat juggling from him. But he wasn't. He showed me stuff, but he wasn't a teacher in that way.
Right.
Whereas I used to, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, full circle, I used to teach martial arts. I'm a black belt. I used to teach martial arts. So I had taught for years at the martial arts school. And then I had only been DJing 2 years before I started teaching. And I was the first ever to release a tutorial video on VHS.
Which is very interesting, by the way, that after 2 years you started teaching.
So 2 things. So the first to release a tutorial video on mixing, scratching, and beat juggling, all the skills on one video on VHS. It was called Shorty's DJ 101. It eventually went to DVD. But I started, and actually that was in 1998, 99. It was filmed in 98, around the time of the Scratch movie. Same, I looked the same. That was that era. But in 1997, my first students were private students, and it was just my friends. Actually, Pete, DJ Enki from the Bay Area, shout out to him. He was my very first student, and he was like, he's a hip hop DJ. And what I found out later, I didn't know it at the time, he was going to quit DJing. If he didn't learn how to scratch. He was like, he felt it was an essential skill for a hip hop DJ to have, and he was just so frustrated. He couldn't learn to flare, and he also had trouble, like, I taught him how to walk a beat. It was in that routine that you showed. It's a beat juggle technique. And I taught him the flare. And he told me years later, he's like, I was going to quit DJing, and had you not taught me, I would have quit. But he was my first student. And then I was like, there is a void in the market. I wish that I had a video or something that I could watch to learn the skills. So I'm going to make that for someone else. Now, the 2-year thing, this is what makes, and I think everyone should start teaching early, even if you don't want to be a teacher, because it's going to make you a better DJ, because it forces you to break things
exactly
down
what
into
you're
steps,
saying.
right? And you have to communicate something to another person where they understand it, but then you get, first of all, you get to relearn it yourself in a different way, and you absorb it in a much different way. So I went into teaching also partly for selfish reasons, because it was making me a better DJ. But the advantage of starting early, you only need to be a couple steps ahead of the person you're teaching. You don't have to be an expert. And actually, if you are
so right.
if you are an expert, that's actually a detriment. If you're an expert that hasn't spent years and years and years teaching, that's actually a detriment, because there's a huge gap in terms of where you started and remembering that. Like if I hadn't taught for 23 years, I've been DJing for 26 years, so I've been teaching now for 24 years. But yeah, if I hadn't taught all that time, I wouldn't be able to remember what it was like when I was first starting out, so to be able to communicate in a way that a beginner can understand and to meet people where they're at, it actually really helps for you only to be a couple steps ahead, or at least have started your teaching journey in that way, right? So it's actually an advantage that I started that early and right after, and I'm still learning things. So as I'm learning things, I'm teaching people. I'm learning things, I'm teaching people, and developing my curriculum. The Scratch Academy was a great experience for me. I was a head instructor there for 4 years. And I had 3 classes, mixing, scratching, and beat juggling. They were each 6 weeks long. I had the freedom to create my own curriculum. I didn't have to use their curriculum. And so it really helped me hone in. And so every time you teach, whether you're teaching a class, it helps you hone your curriculum in a different way than teaching a private student, than making an online course and writing a book. Like all these different things play in. And so just if you want to teach, start teaching early, even before you think you're ready. Again, start before you're ready. Find someone that you're a couple steps ahead of and show them, and my students, they'll all tell you one of their homework assignments is each one teach one. If they learn the say the stab scratch, they have to go teach their wife or their kid or their friend or their grandma. Even if their grandma has never scratched before, you can teach anyone to scratch. I can teach you the one-click flare if you've never scratched before, because it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. Scratching is very unique in that way. Granted, you need the depth and breadth of all the stuff that came before it to be a good scratch DJ, but the technique itself, you can teach anybody. And so then they learn. So I'm like, go teach someone what you just learned, because now that's part of your homework, because it's going to make you better. So that is why I didn't realize it back then, but that was a huge advantage to starting early. And I'm so grateful for that experience because you just can't replace that.
Perfect. Speaking of, Divine Justice asks, what is the most proficient order to learn complicated cuts?
Yes, I do private lessons. So the order is the best order for you. Yeah. So you can learn scratches. So, and also complicated is relative, right? Some people could learn the stab scratch and be like, oh, that's super easy. Other people, just the coordination, it's complicated for whatever reason. Whereas the scribble for them might be super easy. Whereas other people are like, they can't get that vibration. It's complicated. So the word complicated is completely relative to who you are and whatever. Is there a specific order to learn the cuts? There's a specific order in which I teach them because the way I teach is unique in that I actually create a practice system for people. So it's not just about learning the technique. It's about, you learn the technique, but you're not going to be any good unless you're motivated to practice and you know exactly what to practice, and what you're practicing is getting you results, and everything is layering on itself. So I teach in a very specific way that works for me as a teacher and works for the students that I attract. Okay. Gotcha. So I have a very high retention rate because the way I market, I attract the people that are right for me. If there's someone that needs someone like a Rob Swift, for example, I will throw my friend a bone and send them to Rob, because I know that certain personalities are different. But in terms of, back to the question of the order of the cuts, it's really like, just do what you are motivated to learn. If you don't have a private teacher and someone guiding you, then what I would say is go down the YouTube rabbit hole. It's going to be overwhelming, right? But find something that inspires you to practice because ultimately that's the only way that you're going to get better is through intentional quality practice, not just your 10,000 hours for 10,000 hours sake, but quality 10,000 hours. So, and a lot of people who teach how to create online courses, again, I take these courses because I create courses. Some of them say, don't teach in the order that in hindsight you would do if you went back to do the thing. Teach in the order that you learned it, because there was a way that the pieces fit together that got you to where you are. So again, it's all relative. If you were to say, how do I learn? If you said a specific scratch, like the Autobahn scratch, I would say, okay, first you need to learn the slice. Then you need to learn the dice. And then you need to learn, first you need to learn the baby, because everything's based on the baby. Then the slice and the dice, also the stab a little bit, and the boomerang. And then you learn the Aquaman and the baby bond. And then you get to the Autobahn, because it all... Now, I could teach you the Autobahn, just step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. It's 9 notes, right? So step 9. But you wouldn't fully understand it and become proficient with it unless you learned the individual rudiments that make, because the Autobahn is a combination. It's not a rudiment in my mind. And I come from traditional drumming. So I'm a drummer, like I've said a bunch of times probably. And so it's like snares, roughs, rolls. There's 5-stroke roll, 7-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll, paradiddles, double paradiddles, like all these different crazy names for all these rudiments that then make up a cadence, or you put them together. Scratching is exactly the same way, and that's actually how I teach scratching. And I teach it based on drummers drills, and I've adapted drummers drills to scratching, which is also very unique in the way that I teach. But it's all rudiments. So if you look at the rudiments that make up the scratch that you're learning, and you not having a guide to tell you that, it's a little bit harder of a journey to figure that out. But that's how I would suggest to learn a combination like that someone might consider a complex cut. Yes. But again, if it's the chirp, you got to learn the baby first, and then you got to learn and then you could learn the chirp. It's open fader. It starts open, and it's just cleaning up the baby, right? A slice is also cleaning up the baby, but it's starting closed.
And it's funny though, because like for some people, the chirp came easy to me. Like that was my scratch. I was like, oh, I get this.
Some people struggle with that, and some people don't. Right.
Exactly. So it's just like one thing. I know, because Kid Chris asked, how are you on your 2-click? So I've been working on my 2-clicks, my 2-click flare, and I actually got him down, and now it's just practice and speed, because even then, it's just repetition.
It's quality practice.
Yes.
So, but the question was towards you, so I'm going to let you answer, but then I'm going to give my advice as a teacher.
Yeah, that's fine. No, any DJ Shorty, any hacks on getting the 2 clicks?
Yes, I do. I do.
Oh, well, let's hear your hacks.
Unless
please.
you had some hacks that you wanted to.
I don't have any hacks. It's all just like, oh, this is the feeling, because it's all a feeling. And I think with the 2-click flare, it's less about the action per se than it is about the flow. Like, I didn't get it until my brain kind of disconnected from what I was doing. Every time I would try to open and close, my brain, my hand would just say, no, stop right there. Instead of it being kind of a fluid motion. So, but everybody's different though. But please tell me hacks. Hacks are good. I need to know hacks.
Well, the first thing I would say, none of these are hacks, but they are. But you can look at them as hacks if you don't know the thing and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that thing. It's now like a secret thing. I didn't know it's a hack. The 2-click flare is, again, look at the rudiments. Yes, I look at the 2-click flare as a rudiment, like 1-click flare, 2-click flare, 3-click flare, kind of like 5-stroke roll, 7-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll. But those rolls in drumming is all based on double sticking technique. Right. Mm-hmm. And a single sticking technique. Same with the flares. It's based on rudiments that make up the flare. And the rudiments that make up the flare are the chirp and the transform, because the flare starts open. So you start open, and then it's like the first half of the chirp is that first sound, and that's how you're getting that extra sound with less clicks.
That close, right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then you're transforming twice. So if you can think about it like that, or how I teach my students is push, click, click, pull, click, click, push, click, click, pull, click, click. Because a lot of them are like, but my hand's doing one thing and my other hand's doing another thing. And so if you give them a mantra, so a mantra really helps to get your brain on board and trying to get your body to listen to your brain. Push, click, and same with the 1-click flare. Push, click, pull, click. And that the word click represents turning it off and turning it back on, back to the middle. So
it's interesting.
I got more though. So.
I'm sorry. Please. Yeah.
So no, but what were you gonna say? I
was gonna say the 1-click for me is harder than the 2-click.
Oh yeah.
Specifically because
way harder.
The timing of getting that 1-click,
because it's like this.
Yes. So it's hard for me. I can't find where I'm supposed to start the 1-click. It's a weird thing.
That is definitely a feely kind of scratch.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's just 1 click. It should be so much easier than the 2-click. No, the 2-click's super easy. The 1-click is, to get it really, really fast. So that's one thing. First, break the scratch down, if you can, into bite-sized pieces. What makes it up? Then the second thing is create a mantra, like I said. The third thing would be do intentional practice exercises. So not just putting on a beat and cutting, that's fine, but you want quality practice for the time that you're putting in. I can't tell you how many students have come to me before they start working with me, say, I put in so many hours and I'm not getting anywhere. Why? I don't know what to practice or how to practice, right? And this is it. So if you were to work with me, for example, I would give you specific drills. I have specific drills. I have 5-minute marathons where you're doing that one technique or that one combination 4 or 5 minutes without stopping. And if you stop, you take a break and then get back into it. So the 5-minute marathon is key. And the key with that is that what I found in my own practice, and all this I figured out in my own practice before I tried it out on other people, is that something about the 5-minute mark, for me, it's enough time that my brain, once I finally get it, my brain will check out and my body takes over. And that's what you want with any scratch. I know we're talking about the double click flare, but any scratch, you want it to be so implemented in your body, kind of like when you're driving a car and you drove for 5 miles and do not remember how you got from mile 1 to mile 5 because your brain was somewhere else, but you were going through the automatic motions because you've driven so much. It's the same kind of thing. And so that 5-minute mark for me is the perfect amount of time where my brain gets bored and I start okay, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? I'm still doing the thing. Sometimes I'll just pop on the news or a movie or something and literally entertain my brain so that my body can just do its reps in the gym for those marathons. So that's one thing. Then another thing is I do a lot of drummers drills, which are very based on pairing rudiments together. And so I'm not going to explain all my secret sauce, but the drummers drills are really good for not only learning how to put rhythms together, building up your speed and your timing, but also putting other scratches together. And the beauty of it is that once you learn the science behind it, then you can create an infinite number of combos on your own. And you don't have to be stuck watching YouTube trying to imitate other people, because yes, I'm not saying don't learn patterns from other people, but you need to make them your own, right? And so what better way is to take that pattern? Okay, I learned this pattern watching TLM or, Angela or whatever, whoever you're watching on YouTube. Ella Skins, want to give him a shout out. And then, okay, now how can I take the elements of this and flip them in a bunch of different ways and create all my own combos? So yeah, I got his combo, but now I got like thousands more options using these drills and the science behind that. So I would say have really, really good practice drills. Also, Q&A drills are great when you're, scratching. I do a lot of Q&A drills where 1 bar, you repeat after me, 2 bars, you repeat after me, whatever sequence. And those are mimic drills. And through that, you'll come up with a bunch of different ways to put things together. And then also, then one of the most important things you always want to do when you're learning a scratch is at the end of every scratch session is freestyle, implement, because it doesn't matter how many reps you've done in the gym, you need to be able to apply it. And that's where the awkwardness comes in, but that's where you find your flow. So it's going to be awkward. It's going to be like, oh, it's a new ingredient. I'm not quite sure where it fits in my flow, right? So you got to definitely, and so I do a lot of 4-bar freestyles, 8-bar freestyles where I'm just cutting and the student is cutting and they're implementing and so it's integrating. So those are just a few tips. It's really how you practice. You can learn anything on YouTube in terms of the techniques, but where the money's at and where really you're going to grow is how you spend the time in the lab practicing, and you got to make it fun, because if it's not fun, the last thing you're going to want to do is practice. So it has to be fun, and you also need to go into your practice session knowing exactly what you want to do. So set an intention for yourself, what you want to practice beforehand. I keep a scratch journal, so you write the intention down, and then you write down what you worked on. So say I want to work on double click flares. Okay, I'm going to work on double click flares. I'm going to do my 5-minute marathon. I'm going to do a drill where I pair the double click flares with the chirp. Okay, and then I'm going to do some Q&A drills or whatever with Shorty, right? Sure. But you have the video or you have the person, and you know exactly what to do in that time. And in your journal, then after your session, you write wins. What were some breakthroughs? What is some if anything great, even if it was tiny, right? Like, oh, I increased my BPM speed. Here's another hack. You could do incremental BPM speeds. So you practice at 80 BPM one day. Then the next day it's 81. You're not going to notice the difference, right? Next day it's 82. Next day it's 83. Until next week, you're at 90 BPM in that cut, and you don't even know how you got there because you gradually got it in. So that's an incremental win that you could write down in your wins. Like I went from 80 to 81 BPM with my double clicks. And then the other thing you want to put is your opportunities, is what I like to call them. You think of them as mistakes, but I like to look at them as opportunities for growth. Because if it's like, for instance, I just had a student that I was dealing with yesterday, and he's really having a hard time improvising and freestyling. So we're working, that is a skill that you have to practice. You have to practice your improv. I'm an actor. I had to go to UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, to learn the science of comedic improv. I had to learn and practice it. It's the same with scratching and improv. So you have to practice the improv. So we're talking about that. And that would be, I was like, this is a perfect example of what would go in your opportunities column in your journal. Like, okay, because he was like, my freestyling was terrible this session. He was like really negative down on himself. I'm like, no, that's an opportunity. Okay, so you wrote, I struggled with my freestyle in the opportunity. And then you write the intention for your next practice session. And the intention for your next practice session is I'm going to work on my improv and my freestyle. And I'm going to try to incorporate double clicks at least once in that, or, whatever. And this way you have a plan. So you have the materials, and you're not just doing a dive on YouTube and getting overwhelmed, and then you lose all your energy and you're like, I don't want to scratch anymore. I'm just going to go watch Netflix, which happens. You're really motivated to practice, but then the energy gets sucked out of you because you don't know what to do in that time.
I was gonna say there was one moment when I was doing double click flares and 2-click flares, and I got into a point where they were starting to come natural, and then I tried to incorporate those into my scratches, and I had been doing double click flares for apparently so long that I couldn't get any more scratches out of it besides the double click flare.
Yeah.
And I was struggling, and then I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So I stopped. I'm like, I'm done.
Oh, I'll
take a moment off. Yeah. And then I took a couple of days off. I went back, and all of a sudden I was like, okay,
it's back.
there it is again. Because
You can over practice. You
Yes.
can over practice. I also recently just took a course on practicing, actually, so I could better serve my students. And it was a musician's course, but
Sure.
anyway, and there's science behind do not practice longer than 2 hours. And this goes against like the whole thing. Oh, but I need to get my 10,000 hours in. No, you need quality 10,000 hours. Your skills will regress after that time period, and even in the latter half of the 2 hours, so that by the time you get in hour 3, you're starting to implement bad stuff in or mistakes, and you're losing it, or you're over practicing, and then you're only doing the one thing, the double click, and not doing anything else. So
Right.
I recommend the good sweet spot is actually an hour. You don't need more. You could do 20 minutes a day and go way farther if that 20
Right.
minutes is quality and you're consistent. I'm big on mini habits. That's another hack. Mini habits. If you're having trouble practicing, make it super easy. 5 minutes a day. That's it. That's all you're accountable for. But leave your gear plugged in. Take the dust covers off. Make it really easy just to start.
To get to
right.
them.
Right. And then so there's no resistance in the way. And then get your 5 minutes in. You can't talk yourself out of 5 minutes. Attach it to another habit. I'm really big on coffee cuts because getting it out over in the morning. So attach it to drinking your coffee or whatever. Attach it to another habit that you do all the time. You don't forget to brush your teeth. It's a regular thing. Practice that regular thing. But then you'll get out of that rut of like, I practiced this thing too much and now I only do this. And if you ever feel like you always want to end your practice sessions on a high note, so you don't want to over practice to where you start getting frustrated because then you're like, I have a bad feeling. And so it's good to leave. It's hard to do, but it's good to leave on a high note and take a break, especially if you're having trouble. Take a break. Come back to it I would come back to it the next day, or you could come back to it later that day. But that's for anything you're working on, whether it be writing or anything, your brain needs a pattern interrupt. You need to go do something else and come back, and then it just all comes together. Otherwise, you're like beating your head against the wall. It gets to that point.
And don't forget to spin music. A lot of people will just get into this whole scratch thing, and it's like, there's still that other aspect of DJing that you're going to do.
See, I disagree. Only in that you don't have to be a DJ to be a scratch musician. You don't have to be a DJ 100%. To be a turntablist. So if you want to be a DJ, then you better get your ass spinning music. But if you want to be a scratch musician and a turntablist and you don't give a shit about DJing, you do not have to learn how to mix. I just had an argument with someone online. He's like, oh, you have to learn to mix before you learn to scratch. I'm like, no, you don't. No. It's like, do you have to learn to conduct a band before you learn to play the drums? No, you can just learn to play the drums, So but it's all about your end goals. So yes, if you want to be a DJ, you better start practicing your mixing and playing.
No, but I mean, there's a lot of, because like for me, I'm the other side. I'm the DJ that wants to turn into a scratch DJ. Relatively speaking, I'm not trying to be the next, the next DMC winner, but I want to get to a point where it's like I can hold my own with anybody out there, and so, but I know a lot of DJs like me that just focus on the scratching and then they go back to DJing and they're like, oh wait, I haven't been DJing in 6 months.
You have to practice the skills, whatever the skills are. Consistency is key, definitely.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Rob Ryan Drops. I see him in the chat. Forgot to mention him earlier. Let's see here. A couple more questions, and because you've been up and standing all this time, I'm sitting down.
I got a yoga mat underneath me. It's really thick.
There you
it's
go.
Like an inch thick.
You gotta have a yoga mat. Let's see. I want to get to a good question.
And while you're doing that, I need to text my hairdresser. She was gonna hook me up with a root kit because I got 3-inch
man,
braids.
yeah, go get your.
I was
Yes.
supposed to meet with her, and so while you're looking for a question, I just gotta let her know I'm gonna be late.
Perfect. I'll let you do that, and I'll move you over. Okay, let's see here. Speaking of Rob Ryan drops, this is a very good question.
Okay,
let me pull her back on. Rob asks, who can talk more words per minute, Shorty or Cleveland?
Oh yeah, we're both very detail-oriented, verbose, talkative.
Yes.
I don't like the word verbose because the definition is using unnecessary words, and I don't think any of our words are unnecessary.
I agree.
I just think we're very, very thorough and passionate about what we're talking about. If we were talking about, say, calculus, I would be the mutest person in the room. I wouldn't be saying a word.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty even, but we both also know how to listen. We're active listeners. We respond. It's not all about hearing yourself talk. You should also listen, if just as much, if not more, than you speak. And you're a good listener, and you're also a good interviewer. So props to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Audio One asks, is Urban Assault still happening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, download the Scratch DJ Toolkit. DJShorty.com/ScratchDJ Toolkit. ScratchDJToolkit.com. It has 11 exclusive free Urban Assault beats in that you can use. You can use it for mixing. You don't have to use for scratching. Plus, it's got scratch sounds. But yeah, we run a record label called Heavy Artillery Recordings. It started in 2006. It's all electronic dance music. So like drum and bass, dubstep, trap, glitch hop, electro house, bass music, like the stuff that we love to play as DJs. But then we also still make tons of just beats. So like a lot of the beats that you hear me play in the Scratch DJ workouts that are free on YouTube, they're free Scratch practice classes that I do special every couple months. Those are all original beats. It's all Urban Assault beats. All the beats that you're hearing. Also the group coaching program that I'm working on right now. One of the bonuses that you get with the program is a ton of Urban Assault beats, and these are all not available anywhere else. And so they're all just really dope scratch beats. All these, and you can mix them, like I said, beat juggle them, whatever. But yes, Urban Assault is very much a thing. We still produce drum and bass too. Drum and bass is my heart, my soul. But yes, Urban Assault is definitely still a thing. and Heavy Artillery still exists as well. We have over 400 artists on our label. It's an indie label.
Wow, good for you. That's impressive. Okay, so I think by the way, first off, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. This has been absolutely
amazing. Thank you for having me. It's so much fun.
Appreciate it like you wouldn't believe.
And thank everyone in the chat for sticking around. It's been what, 3 hours?
3 hours, and people have stayed on. Speaking of, I know you talked about having your where is my stupid thing at? I know you talked about having your acting, because that's another thing you do. You're an actor. And you've been in a couple things. But I do have a question though. Hold on, let's see if I can pull this up for a second here.
I've been acting longer than I've been DJing, but most people don't know that. I was a child actor. I started out when I was a kid.
Gotcha. They will have. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Let's pop this up. So this lady right here. Hold on. Why are we popping up both? I shouldn't have two of these popping up. That is wrong. So let's pull this out for a second.
I find it funny that you've been stalking. I hear myself, by the way. There's an echo now.
Now you hear yourself. Okay. So that. Oh, I know what's going on. I got it. Okay. Let me tweak this real quick. I know what's happening.
Technology.
Yeah. Stupid technology. I know exactly what's going on. So let's remove this for a second. That's why it gave me the little warning. Okay, so how do I do? What I need is a secondary screen is what I need. That would go a long way for this. But you can hear yourself because you can hear yourself. So hold on, I'm gonna mute you real quick.
I know I'm super late, Mr. Larkin. It's just that my kitten was having a really cute moment, and I was trying to film it so I could put it on YouTube, but then the camera on my phone started acting up, and then I had to read the manual to fix it, and then I had to get Poopies to be cute again. You're my brother, but I can't protect you if I don't know what you know. So you better start talking. Dr. Carney, you have to do this surgery.
Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna unmute you real quick.
That's my real.
That is your real. So first off, just a quick question for you: Are these like green screen video moments, or are these from the show?
No. I can't hear myself, by the way, so it's hard to answer you.
Hold on, let me close it out. Remove. You should
Check,
be gone
check.
now.
Check. Cool.
You good now?
You can hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, they weren't green screen. They were actually filmed scenes.
They look surreal. It's amazing.
Yeah, no green screen. But if you had scrolled down, you would have seen the web series that I'm in and the movies that I've been in and the one I won Best Actor for. And really emotional, like I look totally different. And people are like, huh? But I'm a multi-passionate.
You do it all. You do it all.
And it took me a long time to accept that because I thought it was wrong. I thought you were only supposed to do this one thing. Even in acting, when I first moved to LA, they were like, no, you can only be an actor. You can't be other stuff or they won't take you seriously. And so I separated everything. I had my acting website, my DJ, and no one knew about the other thing. And I was living like this double life. And then it was the worst thing I could have done because now it's all like, what else do you do? Okay, you act, but what else do you do? Right. So, and the world's kind of finally come around, but coming to terms with the fact that, and the fact that I'm multi-passionate and being able to name it, because that was the thing. I didn't have a term that I could use. I would call myself a hyphenate, meaning like actor hyphen DJ hyphen turntablist hyphen teacher hyphen label owner hyphen, right? But multi-passionate, I heard that from Marie Forleo, amazing woman, by the way. Go check her out on YouTube, business coach. But Marie Forleo, taught me that because she's a multi-passionate. She's a dancer and she also teaches business and she does a lot of she does a lot of different things. And it helped me to embrace that. And once I embraced it, I realized, oh my God, this isn't a bad thing. It's actually my superpower. Talking about your spidey fingers.
You got your COVID power, exactly.
It's because everyone's superpower is their you-ness, their uniqueness, right? And my you-ness is being multi-passionate. My acting experience informs everything I do, whether it be performing on stage as a DJ, creating the character persona of Shorty, right? Performing live, connecting with people, talking with people, improv. Oh my God, how much of my improv experience has helped inform me improvising as a musician and as a DJ? And oh my God, teaching and connecting with people, acting, just being able to adapt, again, improv and stuff like that, and also presenting to camera, all that kind of stuff. All the technical aspects of that, everything ties in. And then my musical ability helped me as an actor. It helped me, again, improv. It helped me, the timing, the rhythm, comedy. It especially helps me in comedy because it's all about rhythm and timing. So everything plays into itself. And so if there's anyone out there listening and being like, I really like to do this thing, but I also really like to do this thing, and people aren't taking me seriously because they think that I am can do all the things and I'm a master of none, right? Or maybe whatever they think. But that's not true. That's not true. Embrace your you-ness, you embrace your superpower. And if you're looking for a way to describe it, call yourself a multi-passionate.
Well, and I'm thinking that over time, like I get it if you're like, 15 and you're doing 40 different things and people are like, you need to focus on one.
Focus on a thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but once you
try
get
a little bit and then try something else, right? Or at least
exactly.
Try
Yeah, but once you're, 25, 30, 35, 40.
45.
45, exactly. There's enough time in there to say, you know what? I learned this. I became really, really good at this. And then I learned this and I became really good at this and so on. So it's like time changes that dialogue a little bit. So
You're a
Appreciate you.
DJ. You're also you're a YouTuber. You're a turntablist. You're a producer. I'm guessing because you got all that gear or the picture of the gear anyway behind you.
A little bit
You're
of
into
everything.
production. Yeah, you're a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Also, how does this journey about creating your YouTube channel? How has that informed your DJ career and your performance? You talking to camera again, finding your angles, all that kind of stuff. It's like you're so many more things than just a DJ. If you look at DJ TLM, shout out to him in the chat again. He's way more than just a DJ. Like there's so much. You got to be a nerd to do what we do. You got to be into technology and film stuff and you know, just anything electronic just to get it to work. And you know, like, so there's so much that goes into it. All your talents are valid. There's a reason why you experience things, and you might not know it until years later when you look back and be like, oh, that's how that fits in there. You know, and I'm so glad I learned that 10 years ago because I really need it right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Shorty, absolutely amazing interview. I honestly appreciate you hanging out today. This was fantastic. I'm going to say I've actually been having some really, really good interviews lately. And not lately.
That's
but
a testament to you. You create the environment.
Well, and that's kind of my thing. Like I always tell people, I want to be able to act like, I want it to feel like two people sitting on a couch having a conversation and you're just kind of sitting over there listening in, you know? So it's one of those things. And I tell people this, they don't believe me when I tell them I don't have conversations with my guests beforehand. Like it's all kind of,
I like that.
First experience thing.
Because all the good stuff happens like right when you meet someone. It's like, no. You want to capture that.
Exactly.
So, I love that.
That's my whole thing. It's all about energy. So I want to thank you. So I know you don't have a Twitch channel, but you are on YouTube under the badge DJ Shorty. But I think most importantly, go to the website, djshorty.com. All her information.
You'll find everything there. And make sure you download the Scratch DJ Toolkit. And just one thing about Twitch. I think Twitch is awesome. It's just for me and my business, I'm going for YouTube because my goals are much different than the average DJ, right? Because my goals are teaching based. And for teaching, YouTube is where it's at. And like I said, drill down on one platform that works for you before you extend yourself out to the others. That said, I do have a Twitch channel. I got my name, and I will be noodling there at some point. But right now, everyone always asks me, "Are you on Twitch? Why aren't you on Twitch?" But you're a DJ. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have the same goals as you do. Just wanted to put that out there. But definitely find me on YouTube and Instagram at DJ Shorty. That's my favorite place to play in terms of like social. And email.
Gotcha.
I answer the emails. You can write me once you get on my list. If you write me, I'll write you back. So yeah,
she's really good about emails. She's like, email me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, because
everybody's different.
In the DMs.
Yes, the DMs are horrible.
They tried to organize it, but I still you'll get lost. And if you get in that other requested bin, it's like no man's land. Like just email me, please. Get in bed with me. You're in bed with me when you email me. I check my email in bed.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. All right, DJ Shorty, thank you so much. Guys in the chat, throw the wake ups in the chat if you got them. If you don't have them, throw the ones in the chat. Let her know how much you appreciated this. This was a wealth of information. Yeah, the wake ups are there. It's wealth of information, and I appreciate it. Just like you.
Thank you all for watching.
Yeah, so I had
virtual hugs.
Hold on, let me go wide.
This is a different camera, so I don't get the extendo arms. A little extendo, but yeah, hugging, and now squeeze yourself. Feel it.
Squeeze yourself. Got to do that. Good for the back too.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Hey, so we will chat later. Honestly, great show. I'm going to start cutting up this footage because I want to throw it out to everybody to kind of see. And I might have to try your courses. I might have to give them a try.
Oh yeah, well, I'm launching a group scratching coaching program in May. That's all I'm going to say about right now because I don't want to let out too much. So the way to work with me immediately is through private one-on-one lessons. I also have online courses teaching mixing and stuff like that. But the scratching program is like no one's done it in this way before. It's really groundbreaking. I'm so excited about it. I've been working on it for literally decades. And this first iteration of it, you get to help shape it, because you get even more hands-on with me, because it's like, is this working for you? No. Okay, how can I tweak this to make it work for you, so that you're helping optimize it? I'm so excited about that. I'm going to launch it with a free experience in May, and starting into the paid program. So that is something to definitely email me. We'll work it out. Anyone watching it, if you get on if you get the toolkit, you'll be informed and you'll be on the mailing list. But until then, private lessons, I do them all online on Zoom. It's djshortee.com/dj-lessons, or just click Learn to DJ in the menu of my website. At Shortee is SHORTEE.com, DJ Shortee. But yeah, private lessons. You can book 1 lesson or 10 lessons or anywhere in between. And we get to work on one-on-one via Zoom. I have multiple cameras, 4 different camera angles. Nice. So it's really awesome. And we just get to do this and party, and you'll get virtual hugs all day. So yeah, but I would love to work with you. Definitely. It would be fun.
Sounds good. All right. Then we will chat later. I'm going to sign off on Shorty. Great interview. But we'll talk later.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your day. Enjoy your roots.
You too.
And we'll talk soon.
Oh, yes. I get to cover my grays. Don't look. I love headphones because they hide everything. But be safe, be happy, be healthy. I love you all. You're amazing. I love you, Terry. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
My pleasure.
Have a great day.
You too. All right. Bye. All right. That was DJ Shorty in the house. She killed it. Look, these interviews are just as good for me as they are for you, because I get to learn from everybody. I get to learn from all these people. I get to chat with people that I have considered, idols. And like I said, this is a great place to be. I want to thank everybody for hanging out today. We're going to raid into... let's raid into Flipside. Let's raid into Flipside at 5. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that'll be great. We're going to raid into Flipside. Make sure you let him know where you're coming from. Make sure you let him know. My things aren't updating. There we go. Yeah, we're going to raid into Flipside. By the way, I want to tell you the fact that on the PC version of OBS, you can put all of your quick actions from Twitch integrated into your system. You have no idea how great that is. That's fantastic. So, once again, guys, thank you guys for hanging out today. Long show, but a great show. I don't know what that means, Rob. I don't know what that means. I'm going to be on somewhere. I might actually go back on today. I haven't decided if I want to go on either today or tomorrow. What's today? Wednesday? I might go on tomorrow. We'll see. All right, y'all. You guys know the drills. You guys know what to do. Next week, we got DJ Angelo on Monday. I will be on tomorrow too, doing a tech show. But next week, we got DJ Angelo on Monday. That'll be dope. And we got 916 Junglist on Wednesday afternoon. So a lot of great things happening next week. Make sure you guys are around for that. I'm excited for Angelo. And Friday, thank you, D Diesel. I will be on Tweak Music Tips on Friday with Mojax. And hopefully my internet will stay together. Kid Chris, we'll see what my time is like. I gotta go pick up my daughter. But we'll see. All right, y'all, you know the drill. Make sure you let him know where you're coming from. We'll see you soon. Peace out. Enjoy the raid.